Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, yesterday we saw Dutton and Snipes lead two exciting heat races. We're going to continue that tonight with heat races 3 and 4. Right now we have 10 cars lock themselves in to the IGB tomorrow. Those drivers are Brandon McKissick, Brandon Hawk, and Dylan Roberts, Colin Bowden, Joshua Chin, Kevin McAdams, Cody Dutton, Alex Kolonix through the poll. Kyle Riley, Philip Snites, and Tristan Hagginson. Tonight, we lock in 10 more drivers. I'm up here in the booth helping STN bring all the action to you. Beside me is Brandon Howe, and up making everything happen is Zach Johnson. Howe, what do you think we're going to see tonight? We saw some action-packed races yesterday. Do you think we're going to see anything like that tonight?
These races are going to be wild, especially this first one. We got some big names in this field. We've got guys like Jeremy Davis, Michael Guest, Malik Ray. Very star-studded field tonight. This is going to be a very, very competitive field. It's the largest field we've seen so far with what looks like currently 19 drivers in this event.
I know 19 drivers are signed up. I believe we have 17 actually in the server right now. The way our rules work for the heat races, the top 5 transfer automatically into Sundays. I've got Ballz 400 here live on STN. 5th through 16th lock themselves automatically into the LCQ, broadcasted here again on STN tomorrow. Anybody outside the top 16, your week is done. So this is the first race we actually have legit go or go homers. If you finish last, your weekend ends right here.
Yeah, it's going to add an extra bit of pressure to this race. Last night we saw that if you made a mistake, you got out. You wouldn't make it through to the big event, but you still had a chance Sunday no matter what. But tonight, if you go out early, it is over. Your race is done. Your weekend is done now.
Last night we had a tale of two stories. Heat race number 1 had a few cautions to start it off, cautions throughout that heat, and then it ended with the field being spread out. Only 2 cars really racing for the win. Heat number 2 was completely opposite, green for 37 laps, ending with a green-white checkered. As I said, Philip Snipes won that race, so we got to see a chaotic race yesterday to start the evening. The second race was much more, I honestly think it was way more intense, even though we were green the entire way. The pack was pretty much together those entire 37 laps. I expect the same thing in this heat. I mean, this is a stacked heat, probably the toughest one we've seen so far this week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, last night we saw pretty much the first time of anyone really getting on track last night. It was pretty much clean and green for this week, and people were really learning. But I think now that these drivers have seen one night's worth of broadcast and racing to kind of get their feet in the water and kind of know what to expect. I mean, it looks like, from what we saw yesterday, getting into this event is going to come down to strategy. You're going to have to think your way into this field. Last night we saw split strategies between the green flag stops and the halfway point, with the green flag running heat number 2. Or some drivers chose to take 4 tires, some drivers chose to take 2, some none. And we saw 2 packs split up and really one run down the other, and a very exciting finish. And then in heat number 1, we saw it come down to very late green flag pit stops, about 5 laps to go, and tire and fuel strategy there set the field for that finish.
Some of the bigger names in this race you're going to want to pay attention to: Michael Guest, Malik Ray, Jeremy B. Davis, probably the most recognized names in this service or in this session right now. Obviously, 2 black stripes in here. Jeremy B. Davis, the guy who wins on pretty much anything he jumps into on the iRacing service. Tough competition. All these drivers fighting for just 5 positions.
Yeah, we also got some notable names too, in Sean Peleg and Aaron Smith too. He's everywhere. And we got Kyle Hendricks and Cole J. Dutton as well, who are very, very competitive in these 87 machines.
Last night we saw the lead flip a whole lot in the first 20 laps of each session, and once the tires got, ran, once pit strategy came into play, pretty much after lap 20 we saw one guy kind of lead or dominate most of the race. Do you think the same thing's going to be here, since we have so many big names with a lot of talent? Do you think the lap leader is just going to switch pretty much every time? What do you think is going to happen here with all the big names?
Well, from what we saw yesterday, it's very tight on making it on fuel to halfway to do a one-stop race if it goes green. So I don't think that you're going to see the big names wanting to lead. We saw what happened yesterday with Philip Snipes. He led for a while, realized his fuel calc was not on number, so he had to drop to the back and save fuel. I talked to Kevin McAdams this morning as well, and he said he spent most of that last run half throttle with him and Tristan Hagginson together to make it to the end on fuel.
Focusing on race strategy, You want to pit around halfway. We've seen different strategies in the 2 heat races so far. Some guys are willing to take 4 tires, some just fuel, some just 2 tires. Typically, it evens out around lap 35. Say if this thing goes green, that's when the packs should get caught up together. So if your favorite driver ends up in a second pack or ends up maybe 5 or 8 seconds behind the lap leader, I'm not too concerned about them because I do believe they're going to catch up with how violently this track tears up tires. These cars are having to wheel it right now. PJ Zeller on your screen right now, he'll be a great example as he takes his Q lap. Obviously, he doesn't have anyone around him, but you can witness from him going through this track. You're going to have to wheel this car. This is not like the iRacing official setup. It is much more difficult to drive. You have to lift. You have to almost drive this track as a 1.5 mile rather than how you would typically approach a plate track. You're already seeing Petey get sideways out of turn 4. The trouble spots in the races that we've seen so far is out of turn 4. I mentioned in qualifying on Sunday, there's a bump right at the high side of turn 4 that'll throw you into the outside wall. We saw that claim multiple drivers last night. That was pretty much the cause of most of the bigger wrecks yesterday. You know, that bump, it's unsuspecting. You don't really have to deal with it a lot. But in this setup, with this car, in this race, it's going to be something that these drivers are going to have to fight throughout.
Yeah, the other trouble spot I like to talk about is the entries of the corners in turns 1 and 2. Most drivers think, from running the standard A, B, C cars that you're going to want to run full throttle, and that is not the case in this car. If you try to go full throttle, you'll lock up the rear diff. The car will step out on you, and you will find that it's much faster and better through the corner to actually lift off a little bit when you're in a pack to settle the car down and let it roll to the center of the corner.
I know yesterday Cody Dutton said that, he's just going to hammer out, he's going to floor it. I would highly advise against that in the 160 lap, 400 mile. I've got Ballz 400 tomorrow. I doubt we're going to see a lot of wrecks. I think tire wear, pit strategy, everything is going to come into play there as it will in these heat races. So tire conservation is something that I really want to focus on. We saw some big names yesterday just jump in full throttle. I know Dutton won his race, but we saw other drivers lose the car. We saw tires just go away, favorites fall through the field. I mean, I think some of these drivers are underestimating how dangerous this tire is.
Yeah, and speaking of tires, we saw yesterday what we really learned was in heat number 2, we had a caution with about 5 laps to go. They had about a full tank of fuel in the tires, and we thought that we'd see the guys all about 7th on back, all pitted for tires, 4 fresh tires for the last restart, and I could have sworn that would have been, basically end all be all for the guys up front who didn't take tires. But talking to Phil Snipes and the result we saw yesterday, tires really didn't matter in that last 3 laps. So if you can save your tires and take care of them, come in the green light check and you can stay up for track position, it won't hurt you. But there are some guys last night who didn't have a choice because they had burned off their right rears during the green flag runs.
Even with that said, I would really consider that going into tomorrow's race, obviously going in these heat races right here, to maybe if you got 5 or less laps left, say if we get a wreck on lap 34 or 32 in this race and we go to green with another green light checker to we have 4 to 5 laps, you might put that in your head, be like, hey, Phillip and all the guys who didn't take tires yesterday were able to hold off the field. If it's around 5 laps, maybe I can do the same. If it's anything more than 5 laps, I think that's when we'll see tires become more of a value late in the race.
Yeah, definitely, Cruz, especially those, if we're not within the point of no return, there's a good chance that the guys on fresh tires will come back through and either get involved in an accident or, so be it and have another chance at it. But if it's just 2 to go and it's racing green to the end, you may not have enough time if you're on old or fresh tires to get back up to the field.
A lot of different strategies, a lot of different ways to approach this. We want to thank you once again for joining STN on this Saturday, January 9th of 2021. You're watching Heat Races 3 and 4. Tomorrow, Sunday, January 10th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time will be the LCQ Last Chance Qualifier. As I said, all the drivers who finished 6th through 16th in their heat races are qualified into that race. All remaining spots will be filled, which it's looking like only 5 drivers being taken from that LCQ tomorrow, unless we have some guys that don't show up for the main on Sunday. And then the main tomorrow, 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on STN. The I've Got Ballz 409th annual running of this race, a $1,000 purse, 160 laps. Payouts going all the way from 1st to 20th. First walking away with $250. 20th walking away with $10. No entry required for this event, so these guys just had to sign up, had to show up and race, had to put on a good show for you guys. As we get to the end of qualifying right here, we'll see all the cars and grid and everything. I mean, I'm looking forward to this. The heat race that ended last night was full of action, full of stress, full of intensity. I'm hoping we see the same thing here tonight.
I believe Will Cruz, this is probably the biggest star-studded field that we've had so far. Let's be a real test of how these guys are able to race and move through the field.
Indeed. I would say this is one of the last calm before the storms. As you see the grid on your screen right now, Kyle Hendricks and Aaron Smith will be leading the field to the green here. I would imagine that they go green. Obviously, we saw a caution in heat number 1 entering turn 3 on the first lap. And then, like I said, the second heat yesterday went 37 laps. I imagine we'll fall somewhere in between those 2 laps and this one here. Fuel mileage is anywhere from 19 to 21 laps, depending on where you are in terms of saving the fuel, in terms of being on the pack. If you're leading, obviously you're going to be pitting around 19 to 20. If you're in the back of the pack, you're going to be pitting around 20 to 21. We also have some Winstell teammates in here, or people who are familiar with the Winstell League, the one that we're a part of, Hal and myself. And then we have other pro guys that might want to work with each other. So some guys have teammates, some guys have friends going in this race. Others are just going to have to try and race their way in.
Yeah, but I think when it comes down to the end, no one's going to be your friend. There's only 5 spots for 18 drivers, and it's going to be tough to, fill those spots when you have such a high level of talent in this field. And you're not going to really have time to wait for your buddy to help them out.
Any last things that the viewers or these drivers should really consider as they're strapping in these vehicles? Maybe they didn't watch the heat races. I know we saw a couple drivers in TeamSpeak earlier saying, I didn't see any of the heat races. I really haven't practiced in the setup. Maybe for all the fans that are viewing this who haven't seen yesterday's heat race in action or Sunday's qualifying, which I would advise you go check out. Tons and tons of action. What would you summarize this setup to act like, or how do you think these drivers are going to approach it?
Well, first off, this is a very, very hot session. Looking at the outside the window right now, it looks like it's about 90 degrees outside in terms of ambient temperature. And this is the session is set in the late April and the early May, so it is very, very hot on track right now. Track temps are currently showing about 131 degrees Fahrenheit. There is no rubber on track either, so these tires are going to be chewed up very, very quickly, and they're going to lose grip very fast. And it looks like our pole sitter, Kyle Hendricks, has fallen out of the session, has had connection issues, so he will not be starting this race. That could very well hurt his chances of running this I've Got Ballz 400.
Oh, unlucky. The same thing happened last year with Philip Snipes in the actual IGB. He had an internet connection, couldn't get back in the race. Kyle Hendricks, as I just noted, he started on pole, number 1 pit stop in an event as stacked as this. I don't see him back in the session right now. Even if you have a good hard drive or a solid state drive, it's going to take you a few minutes to get back in the session. He'll need a caution to have a chance to race his way in.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And as we said, I mean, last night, if this was the case, if we had less than 15 cars, it looks like he's connecting to the session now, so he may be able to get back in and get his laps back if he does have a caution and gets lucky, has a lucky dog to save him. But last night, if he was racing in heats 1 and 2, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal for him. There were a limited number of cars there, about 13 per race, and he would have been able to be eligible for the last chance qualifier no matter what. But tonight, if he doesn't finish in the top 15, his weekend is over, and it's going to be very unfortunate for a very fast driver in Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, as we've said, the last heat races had 14 and 15 drivers in each of them, so everybody qualified for the LCQ. We were hoping to have our original grids for the heats. We had everybody who signed up distributed by iRace in each one. We had about 25 cars lined up for each heat, but some guys didn't show up. So your official, unofficial pole sitter now would be Cole J. Dutton, as we see the pace truck duck its way onto pit road. The green flag waves for heat racing action here in heat race number 3, day number 3 here on the I've Got Ballz Speed Week.
Let's see him go off to turn number 1. They're in 3rd gear right now. They'll be shifting to the 4th gear right as they enter turn number 1 here. These cars are very hard to get up through the gears. A lot of times, even the pro drivers have trouble because these are not like your standard iRacing machines where you have a dog clutch gearbox and you can just throw it in the gear and just lift and let it rev match for itself. You do have to use the clutch in these machines, and it is slow and it is tedious to get it through gears, and you do see guys miss shifts ever so often.
And we already see heavy movement. We have Sean Peggle moving. I keep pronouncing his name incorrectly. We have Sean moving down the inside lane. Jeremy B. Davis taking the lead, entering turn 3. He's on the outside lane right now. Didn't hit that either. I'm just falling up.
we got some clowns in the broadcast booth, apparently. We got Sean Peggle going for to the inside row here to go up in the third or fourth battle with number 67 machine of Connor Horn. Looks like Jimmy Davis led that lap. It's Cole Dutton on his inside, paddling him into turn number 1.
Oh man, I'm still laughing right now. My face is all red. But Cole Dutton leading the field on the inside lane right now. Jeremy B. Davis just moved to the outside last time around on the back straightaway. He's there. He's moving half a car length, full car length in front of your leader right now. Will he go to the bottom? Will he stay on the outside? I would advise that he kind of enter the way he did right there. That's exactly what I would do. The middle lane is going to be your friend. I understand that a lot of people see Daytona, they think of 3 wide, possibly 4 wide race in action without the yellow line rule being in effect here. But pretty much this track is just a 2-lane track. You don't really want to be squeezing people a whole lot, as we saw some trouble in the heat races yesterday doing that.
I just want to point out that Kyle Hendricks is on track. He's about 10 seconds ahead of the leader right now, and he, I believe, is currently tailing of the lead lap. So, you know, if he gets lucky and gets a caution here, he'll remain on the lead lap. But if not, he's going to need a caution. He's going to need a caution regardless, but hopefully he can stay up front of the leaders and not go a lap down.
I mean, I can't think of anybody being as lucky as Kyle right now in that Chrome 15 machine with about half a straightaway, as we see some 3-wide action, possibly 3-wide action. Now they go back to 2-wide for second place. Connor Horn and Dutton, your second and third place driver, as Sean moves on the inside of Connor. But I mean, Kyle, you can't ask for anything better. I was afraid he might go 1 or 2 laps down. All he needs is that caution. He'll be right back in it. We know he has a fast car started. Technically on the pole, just fell out, so I imagine he'll be up there.
Yeah, I mean, currently, I mean, you know, these cars don't catch you or aren't as rapid kind of as, you know, the standard ABC machine. So he'll have a couple laps before he's fully tracked down and consumed by the pack here, as we see the leaders still fighting it out here. I would think that it would be smart if these guys would just kind of settle down. We'll see Sean go with the yellow line there on Cole Dutton. Very risky moves here very early on in the race. These guys are starting to get a little gap between them and Aaron Smith in 6th place. It'd be pretty wise for them to just line up and get going and just leave the guys behind them and just kind of battle up for themselves at the end, because it doesn't pay anything to win other than bragging rights. There's no point in leading more laps. You're just burning more fuel. All you're trying to do is finish in the top 5, and, you know, sometimes it's hard to get around that mindset of, you know, and we have a caution on the speedway, so this will save Kyle.
Saving Kyle, but not saving Octavio in the 08. He got loose. He hit that bump. Actually, we had quite a bit happening on that lap. I was looking through the field, looking at Cook in the 63. He had issues entering turns 1 and 2. This caution, however, is because of Jonathan Hernandez. I think he got loose in turns 3 and 4. We'll have to check out the replay. Not sure if he got help from another car, but I saw him sideways slow in turns 3 and 4. Nearly came up in front of Octavio in the 08. Octavio had nowhere to go, came and made contact with the outside retaining barrier, and then Cook had nowhere to go, and he made contact with him, as you see on screen. Hernandez in the 42 car trying to save it, coming down onto the apron, then coming back up in front of the 08 of Octavio. He has nowhere to go. He makes contact with the wall, as I said. Then Cook, yet again, having nowhere to go. These drivers just ran out of racing room, ran out of ways to get through that crash.
Yeah, Jonathan Hernandez made a little bit of a mistake going in turn number 3 and 4 there and just got the fence. And once you get in the fence, these cars are kind of, you know, you can't make sharp moves with these. They're kind of lazy. They don't want to really react to your moves very well. So once you kind of get out of control, it's very hard to get them back in control. He did a great job corralling that race car and getting it back straight again. But unfortunately, Octavio and Corey Cook could not get out of each other's way there, and they're involved in this first yellow of the day. That brings up a point that we talked about last night about how you want to set the strategy for this race. You can either go up front and race really, really hard, or try to ride in the back and hope to avoid the wrecks. But sometimes if you're in the back, the wrecks just happen around you, and in this case, it's bit Corey Cook and Octavio.
We see the entire field coming down pit road. I imagine they're going to take 4 tires and fuel, as we don't have a tire limit in this series. Right now, they can make it to around lap 25. Your leader, Sean, sliding through his pit stall, so he may not lead with the race lead as he came into pit road. We'll just have to see how these guys come out.
Looks like a couple of guys are going to do fuel only here. This is really more like the orchestra that you see at Daytona, where, you know, guys like Bobby Gerhardt and a little pit about lap 5 to 10 just to, you know, get to some of them in the fuel window, kind of doing a backwards road course type strategy. Because right now, if they stop now, this kind of makes it an easy one-stop race for them. So this is probably, you know, more so the issue than tires. I don't really think we'll see much of a difference if you go 4 or 2 or 0 tires in this current point of the race.
Well, right now it's looking like we're going to see new contenders up in the front. Ryan A. Williams and Jimmy Frazier seem to be the two guys who made it out first. They'll be leading your field of the green this time by. Didn't see much of them on this first initial run. I think they were kind of just riding, feeling the setup out. As I said, some of these drivers in here, this is their first laps on this setup, so some of the guys might be taking it easy. Some guys like Sean, we saw him racing aggressive, different strategies going in this race.
Also, want to note here on the pit stops, Corey Cook has decided not to take his fast repair. He thinks he doesn't have enough damage to afford using his one and only fast repair, so he's going to repair the car to the best of his ability and keep trucking. It looks like the 08 of Octavio Rondoletto, he's chosen to use his fast repair. He decided that his car was too damaged. He's going to fix it and use his one fast repair now. The 42 of Jonathan Hernandez decided not to use his fast repair as well. He fixed the car to the best of his ability on pit road. And it looks like the 01 of PD Zeller was trying to fix the car on pit road as well. He had some damage on the right rear corner of his race car.
And I don't think we caught these guys hitting the wall as we were focusing on the battle for the lead, the wild action up there. But a lot of these cars, a lot of these guys entering the corners too high in turns 1 and 2 on around the 4th lap. We saw them get in the wall. That's why more cars than the ones that we saw involved in the crash have damage right now as we get the one to go signal from the flag stand.
Get a brand new top 5 here, it looks like, compared to what we had in the last green flag lap of racing. We got Ryan A. Williams leading the field right now. Jimmy Frazier in the number 6 machine to his outside. Alexander Bates in his Red Bull machine on the inside of row number 2. Connor Horn in the number 4 machine, or 6-7 machines on the outside of row number 2 and 4th. And we've got the number 02 machine of Cole J. Dutton in the top, in the 5th position side of Jeremy Davis. So really shuffled around that top 5 there. We're going to see how these guys can stay at the front and if the guys who are up front before the caution can get back up there and battle these guys.
So we've ran technically around 5 laps under green right now. These drivers have already had a restart under their belts. Do you imagine we're going to see the shifting issues that we saw midway in the pack last time, or do you think these guys are going to be on it?
You know, a lot of times it happens on restarts. You know, on the start of the race, you're real nervous. Your nerves are there, so you're really thinking about what you're doing. On a restart, you know, things are a little bit more relaxed. You got your rhythm in, and you kind of get complacent, and then that's normally where it'll bite you. So we'll see here. Hopefully the guys can get up to the gears and don't have any issues.
Well, here we go. You'll have the field taking lap 8 of the 3rd 2021 IGB 400 heat race. I imagine that we're going to see way more intense, or we're going to see intense racing once again as we see the pace car duck its way down the pit road. Green flag displayed to the front row. Ryan A. Williams on the hammer as he's actually getting passed by Jimmy Frazier. That's not illegal. Jimmy Frazier just got a way better restart than your leader, Ryan, right there. So I imagine we're going to see Frazier try and make something happen right here. But the whole pack under a blanket right now, much closer of a restart. We have 8 cars, nose to tail right now as Frazier getting a bit loose. You see the 9 car on the outside lane getting a bit squirrely right there. He's using the whole track. This is intense.
Yeah, it's going to really depend on which lane gets more organized. And it looks like right now the outside lane is going to be the one that does. Alex Bates and Ryan kind of got squirrely there a little bit as they kind of danced around each other. Ryan kind of went to the middle and then came back down. And so Bates did check up a little bit and kind of hurt their momentum on the inside line there through down the back straightaway. It's coming out 3 and 4. Looks like Ryan Williams will get the run off the bottom of the racetrack there and head to the stripe to lead this lap.
Frazier not harping on him or anything, but you see the guys behind him. That outside lane started with 4 cars. Now it's back to 4, but everybody's trying to get around that 9 car. I don't think everybody behind him, specifically Connor Horn, and that's the white 67 cars. Bates nearly slides up into your race leader. I don't think they're liking how that 9 car is running. He's a bit loose. I assume they're trying to get around him as we might go 3 wide for your race lead. We are 3 wide. Cole Dutton on the inside lane, Alex Bates in the middle, and Ryan Williams on the outside lane. Bates stuck there, nearly making contact with the old 2, but they're going to keep it straight. They're going to keep it green as the 9 car slightly into the fence. Jimmy Frazier is up there. I don't imagine he's going to bring out a yellow. He'll keep it. Oh, he makes contact with Kyle. He's on his side. We're going to have a yellow out as they're still wrecking on the bottom. Kyle Hendricks made contact with Corey Cook. Corey Cook sliding in the grass right now. Kyle Hendricks' day is just getting more frustrating. Big action out of turn 4. It's those bumps that I told you about. It got the 9 car into the wall, and it caused that right there.
Yeah, that more so sort of looked like back in kind of the back straightaway there. Cole Dutton forced it 3 wide into turn number 3 there, and unfortunately the 9 car of Brandon Frazier was stuck on the outside, and he got into the fence and hit Kyle, who hit Corey Cook. Looks like Corey got lucky this time. He was involved in the last yellow. Corey does not have nearly as much damage as he had the first time around.
Lucky to get away with nobody really being hinted right there. As you see on screen, the 15 of Hendricks making contact with Cook once again. Do you think that was just inexperience being up in the front from Frazier? As I said earlier, we saw him kind of right in the back. Maybe he got more than he bargained for there.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both inexperience and then just some guys who were just really driving really hard for, lap 10. I'm not sure why these guys are trying to force 3 wide right now. The goal of this race is not to win the race, but to just finish top 5. And, really, if I'm in the top 5, I'd be on the, I'd be trying to get everyone organized. I'd say, okay, let's calm down. It's lap 10. We have to make a green flag stop to, for fuel at some point between now and the end of this race. Let's get together. Let's pull away from the field. Let's not race each other right now. Let's settle that at the end.
Right now under yellow, we're seeing actually Petey Zeller faking a pit entry, but we have Aaron Smith right now, Jonathan Hernandez, Cook, Frazier going in. I imagine we'll see Hendricks do the same. Actually, Hendricks already taken his faster pair, so he's out of faster pairs. Started the race on pole, fell out. Now he's out of faster pairs with 30 laps left in a heat race that I imagine we're going to keep seeing this style of racing, aggressive mistakes from drivers. So we got to watch him. We got to see if Kyle can get through. We got to see if the big names like Malik Ray in his Rowdy Energy number 51 car, Alex Bates in his replica stock car that he used to drive, Jeremy B. Davis. I mean, a lot of big names that could be taken out in this race.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it looks like Jimmy Frazier has taken his fast spare as well, so he will be at a fast race here at lap 11. Corey, I believe he took his fast spare last time. He came in, fixed some damage, and came back out, but I believe he realized he had too much damage after that first incident and got a faster pair. So he is now forced to fix his car. It doesn't look like he has much damage, just a little bit of right rear contact. I think he'll be fine for the rest of this race.
Yet again, keep in mind, this is the first race that the actual go or go home rule is in effect, as we have over 16 cars. So whoever finishes last here, done for the week. A lot of guys out of faster pairs. I imagine the next accident is going to remove somebody from their chances of winning the IGB 400 on Sunday.
Yeah, if you're a guy who's out of fast pairs, you've really got to be careful. As much as you don't want to go into the last chance qualifier and have to deal with that, because that's going to be a very star-studded field too, and a much tougher field to get through. With about looking like 5 cars making through that with a much larger field than what we're going to see in the duels. You don't want to be the guy who wrecks out and runs out of fast pairs first, because once you're done, you're done. If you finish 17th tonight, your weekend is over, and you're done until next year.
On top of that, as we take lap 12 under yellow right now, some of your leaders, actually about the top 8, 10, 11 cars stayed out there, as they are not good on fuel. You'll see them only making around 20 laps. So, and about, I would say probably 17 laps, since we had a little green run there. And then under caution, I'd say in about 17 laps, we'll see them ducking onto pit road, possibly under green. Your heat race is 40 laps with a 50-minute time constraint right now. We are right on the fence of getting this done under regulation time. If it continues in this fashion with all these yellows, we might be in a timed event.
That's true too, and that's something that these guys probably haven't really planned for strategy-wise. So again, I mean, if we get a caution and say the next, probably by lap 17 or 18, I'd reckon I'd see a bunch of guys on pit road to get that fuel stuff and try to shred this to the end. Because if this is time constrained, you don't want to be in a situation where you get a yellow and have to come back in for fuel because of the time constraints.
Well, right now, your transfer spot hasn't been held by one driver. It's pretty much been switching every time. The transfer spot being 5th place right now being held by Malik Ray. We're going to see people fly in and out of that position throughout the remainder of the event.
I mean, right now, these early laps, these guys really haven't gotten their feet kind of settled under them. They really have only gotten a couple laps worth of runs in, and so it's going to take probably about 5 or 6 laps for these guys to really settle down and get comfortable with their race cars. So this transition is really not going to be set in stone until probably about 5 to 10 to go before we really know who's who and who's going to be at the front to the end.
Yeah, well, here we go for the 3rd time tonight, 3rd restart. Flagman waving the green flag as Cole Dutton gets on the loud pedal. Great restart by Jeremy B. Davis. Everybody else behind him kind of getting stacked up. I think somebody missed a shift right there. Didn't catch who it was, but you're top 5 right now. Malik Ray missing a shift. As we said before, somebody who isn't you know, exactly familiar with how these cars shift, possibly just shifted like an A car or something and realized that, hey, these cars don't like being abused like that. As right now you see the inside lane dominant as we see a battle for the lead. Jeremy B. Davis using momentum on the outside of the 0-2 car of Cole Dutton. He's going to contend for the lead as they enter turns 3 and 4.
It just goes to show how hard these cars are to actually master. I mean, Malik Ray is a Coke Series driver. He drives for Joe Gibbs, and even he's struggling to shift the gears to the restart. And it's probably a little bit embarrassing for him, but, you know, everyone has to do it at least once, you know.
Gosh, did you see that block Cole Dutton slid up in front of Jeremy B. Davis, trying to slow him down? He's going to lead this lap. And the car behind him, Ryan A. Williams, had to check up a bit for Jeremy there in the tri-oval. As I stated before this race, you're going to see guys sliding. You're going to see guys having to wheel. You're going to see lifting here as we see your leaders kind of battling for that second lane on the outside. You see Dutton go to the bottom right there in the yellow lane. It kind of upset the car. You're going to see him kind of stall out. We might see a 3-wide move right here. We don't. Connor Horn stays there oh man, Sean nearly made it 3 wide there. He backs out. We got a lot of giving right now. Nothing being taken.
Yeah, I mean, now's the time to be given and not really taking too much. You know, a lot of guys yesterday were, you know, had a bad taste in their mouth about Cole Dutton's brother Cody and, you know, his aggressive driving. And so, you know, you don't want to be the guy who's out here on lap 10 or 15 blocking and trying to race too hard for the lead, because eventually their patience is going to wear out for you up front, and that could really hamper your chances again if trying to get people to work with you and trust you as it comes down to the checkered flag.
But right now, your transfer spot switches hands from Sean to Ryan Williams. The car behind him right now, Alex Bates in the 8 machine, and Petey Zeller and Malik Ray following in tow with Michael Guest right behind him in that number orange 85 car. As we see the outside lane once again go over that white line. Anything above there, you're going to hit those bumps. It's going to send you into the wall. As Connor Horn and your leader Dutton both hit that bump on the exit of turn 4. It upset both their cars. Luckily, Dutton didn't have a car on his outside, and because of that, Connor Horn to the pole position, to the lead right now entering turns 1.
Yep, we see Connor Horn in that white unsponsored 67 machine, followed by Sean Peleg and Alex Bates in the bottom running. These guys have a lot of experience. Alex and Sean have run a lot of races here at Daytona and Winstone. And we see Cole Dutton get into the fence there after Connor Horn moves up in front of him off of turn number 2. That's really going to hurt him.
Dutton into the wall. We got racing action all over the track. We actually had Jimmy Frazier get into the wall in turns 1 and 2. I thought he would lose it. We have a car on the outside lane. That is the 67 of Connor Horn. He keeps it green, but a lot of damage on the outside lane as Kyle Hendricks has to check up so he doesn't get run over, or he doesn't run over him. Rather, as your leader right now, Sean, taking advantage of all the trouble in the top. Your top 5 has completely switched. Jeremy B. Davis in 2nd, Malik Ray in 3rd, Ryan Williams in 4th, and Michael Guest in transfer position with Alex Bates fighting on the inside lane. I imagine we're going to see more action here out of the corner as both lanes converge on one. Nobody makes contact. Absolutely amazing racing as Sean and Malik Ray nearly make contact. We're going to see Michael Guest get behind Malik Ray, and now Malik Ray is pushing Jeremy B. Davis into turns 3 and 4. Jeremy dives it to the inside. Malik Ray, Guest up to the outside lane. Sean getting loose on the inside. This is wild racing right here. I don't know how they didn't wreck.
I think we're starting to see some alliances form here early on. It looks like the guys who have run the Pro and Peak Series together, Road to Pro, with Jeremy Davis, Michael Guest, and Malik Ray are all starting to sort of team up and work together here. And guys like Alex Bates, Ryan Williams, and Sean Peleg, who won Rinstall, are starting to work together as well. So I think we're starting to see some alliances form early on.
16 cars still in the main pack. Jimmy Frazier around 11 seconds back, so everybody still has a chance to get into this race. Jeremy Davis going to be having to fight off Malik Ray right here entering 3. Sean is right on Jeremy's bumper as he lets off, gives him room. He doesn't want to push him, doesn't want to spin out the pro drivers on the outside lane as we have Petey get sideways in the 0-1 car on the bottom. Everybody else is going to move around him. We're going to stay green once again through the treacherous turn 3 and 4.
That's going to hurt PDJ Zeller, and it's going to back up the pack there. We're seeing 2 very distinct packs right now. We've got the lead pack here that's still running side by side. We got a pack of drivers who have, either had problems hit the wall or gone sideways, all fighting here side by side for about 10th on back, and it's really hurting these guys back here because you don't want to be doing this right now.
Yes, indeed. Two distinct packs. Obviously, Petey leading the second pack as he got sideways there. Alex Bates in second in that second pack just because circumstances. He had to check up as we have 8 drivers in the main pack right now, obviously fighting for the top 5 to get in. These are the guys that we expected to see fighting for the win, fighting for the top here as we have some action. Malik Ray, as we have contact. Michael Guest softly into the wall. We had Josh in the 92 slide up. I don't know how they didn't wreck there as well. Kyle Hendricks, a guy who has been around danger the entire race, checking up once again. He's fallen back to 11th. Your top 4 pulling away, so the transfer spot, the only place of contention right now with Cole Dutton leading in that transfer spot.
Yeah, Kyle worked all the way back to the front there, and again, oh, we got contact. We had a wreck on the back straightaway. The big wreck. We got the whole front of the field involved. Several cars. That's at least 6 or 7 cars involved. More contact as the 42 comes in. Alex Bates involved. Michael Guest, Malik Ray. We've got Kyle Hendricks, Ryan A. Williams, the whole front of the field involved in a wreck on the turn number 2 after the leader. Sean Pellig moved up in front of the guy, in front of, I believe it was Malik Ray, and it just set this whole chain of events off. What a massive accident on the back straightaway here.
We had a massive move right there. Obviously, you mentioned Sean coming up, kind of slowing down the outside lane, but it all started really when the 28 got turned sideways and flipped on the back straightaway. Car number 28 of Ryan Williams, you saw him get airborne as other cars had nowhere to go. Technically, cars in the grass and blocking the track, even the guys trying to get through, they didn't really arc a break there. They literally had nowhere to go as we saw. I'm seeing 10, 11 cars making contact with each other right there. Multiple cars smoking. We're going to see some faster pairs being used, and we're going to see some guys most likely out of this heat.
Yeah, this is by far the biggest wreck we've seen in all of Speed Weeks, and it's taken out a lot of cars. When the leaders get together and you know, have an accident like that, you'll see all the airborne cars with these blowovers. A lot of cars involved. Hopefully we can see this from down the back straightaway and get a better picture of just the magnitude of the number of cars involved and how blocked the track was.
Yeah, we're asking Zach to see if he can get that view. I mean, this will be a perfect example as we see the field come out of turn 4. You see Sean on the bottom. I don't know if he necessarily meant to get up in front of the 64, but he did. Obviously, that stacked the field up right there. So your top 3 sideways, and then you see everybody else moving down. The 0-2 of who is that again? The 0-2 Cole Dutton had nowhere to go. He got launched into the inside barrier. I mean, he was the reason why the grass was blocked. These drivers had absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah, I'd like to see that from, I believe it was PD's onboard. He went to the grass and did an excellent job getting through that wreck there. I don't know how he managed to make it through that.
A lot of luck. I mean, you got to be good. You got to have skill on these plate tracks. You got to have skill to drive this car, but you always need a shade of luck as we're going to ride on board Petey as we see him go into turns 1 and 2. I just want you to I'm not even going to talk right here. I just want you to witness what he had to deal with exiting this corner.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, these guys are going 200 to 205 miles an hour right here, and as he's kind of blocked from view here, but you see him start to wreck here, and at this point, you're just praying. You see them come across the screen there, and wow, it all opened up in front of him, and he's wheeling it to the grass. Look at his hands on that wheel as he gets it through the grass there and back on the track. He's going to be in second position here after the whole field wrecked behind him and in front of him as well.
I mean, Cole Dutton got hit so hard, I almost forgot who was driving that car. What a violent hit. A lot of cars torn up. I mean, like you said, by far the biggest wreck we've had in the heat races so far, and we still have 18 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys in there who I think are, you know, out of fast repairs. Corey Cook, we talked about earlier, he was out. It looks like he's clean. Michael Guest decided to not take his fast repair. Guys like Petey, Octavio, they dodged a bullet there. Kind of go through it here. We know Kyle Hendricks, he's out of fast repair. He's used it earlier. He's on pit road now fixing damage. The 9 car of Jimmy Frazier has already used his. Alex Bates decided not to use his fast repair. I don't think he's used his yet. Connor Horn, he's got some damage. He hasn't used his fast repair yet. Looks like Jeremy Davis had to use his. Jonathan Hernandez, he's coming back down. It looks like the repair some more damage. And Sean Pellig got the end of line penalty for being the cause of that wreck, according to the race officials. So he'll have to be working in the back here as well.
And, this was just an example of, Sean made a mistake right there. It didn't cost him. His car is still perfectly fine. He still has his two fast repairs, but everybody else paying the price for that. As you went through the field, like I said, or like you said, I believe Jimmy Frazier is out of his fast repair. Kyle Hendricks, Alex Bates might be out. I know the O2 of Dutton is out. Malik Ray possibly used it. I didn't check to see if he did or not. His car is completely clean. Yeah, I believe he used it. I mean, we're dealing with at least 10 drivers right now out of their fast repair.
I believe Bates, you mentioned him. He has damage, but I don't believe he used the fast repair. I think he just decided to let the car be and just repair it as is. One thing strategy-wise, though, they are past lap 20. They're past halfway. Everybody should have come down and taken a full 2 cans of Sunoco racing fuel. These guys should be good to the end. So, if you're a guy, who has damage and, you think you might be borderline, I think you might have needed to take a fast repair there, because if we go green to the end and you're off pace, that's really going to be the end of your night. We saw that with Gabriel Mauricio last night and Gabe Herschel, where they didn't take fast repairs after a yellow, and they banked on having more wrecks, and they left that race with a green flag run to the end and no fast repair used, just sitting back in the garage, and it cost them a chance to race in through last night's duel.
Yeah, another driver having their chance cut away was Jose Salas Jr. He didn't take his fast repair yesterday as the field goes green. Petey Zeller, your leader right there, no help right now. Octavio's getting help from guests behind, but Octavio actually has some front-end damage. I don't think it's going to be anything major that we got to really worry about, but you do need to keep that in mind as you're wanting to push a guy. As we see Michael Guest trying to use a different lane, he's going to end up passing Octavio. He's on the outside. Michael Guest will most likely be your leader coming on turn 2 right now. He's being pushed by Dutton. Obviously, Guest and Dutton, who they were in that front pack along with Jeremy B. Davis. They're assuming their positions up in the front. They're right back to where they were before that crash happened. As you see kind of the field separating right now, as you see Octavio kind of checking up, you see Cook on the outside lane as well. Ryan Williams getting a bit squirrely. I mean, these cars are not driving well. They got damage and they're worn out.
We got more content on the back. Sean Pellig around. The 9 car of Jimmy Frazier has also hit the wall and spun around out of turn number 4. Sorry.
Frazier, a guy who has brought out 2 yellows right now. I'm not sure. Oh, Jimmy Frazier has actually disconnected. Not sure if that was due to admins. Not sure if that was due. It says he manually disconnected, so maybe Frazier just chucked in the towel. He's not going to advance the LCQ as Sean. Now he's going to have to get that damage repaired. Now he might be taking that fast repair.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has too much damage. But however, as we talked about earlier, driving over aggressive, there was no reason for Sean to drive as aggressively as he was earlier. And, those front 4 guys had a gap to the field behind them. He ended up causing a wreck, sending himself to the back. He didn't get any damage, but his car was back there and he was caught up in somebody else's mistake. So, lucky for him, it doesn't look like he got too much damage in that wreck. But at the same time, there was no reason for him to be back there in the first place. And that really could have affected his chances later in the race.
Yeah, and that was almost a spitting image of Cody Dutton's wreck yesterday in the 80 car, even though he had some net code to help with that. But he flew into that outside wall right where that safer barrier ends. So Frazier having a wreck very, very similar to the wreck that we saw yesterday. And it happened right at the place I talked about, right out of turn 4. That bump will upset the car. I know he was a bit lower. He didn't get in the wall in the safer barrier, but because he got loose there, he made contact with the wall in a little short shoot there out of 4. And like I said, that's going to sneak up on drivers. That's something you don't normally have to pay attention to.
Yeah, that was when we first started the broadcast. That was our first problem that we talked about, the accident turn number 4. It's cut out a lot of drivers these past 2 days, and it just cut out one more there.
Well, if you're the leader, if you're Dutton right now, do you, and even same thing if you're Guest, do you race right now to hold your position? You should be good on fuel unless we end up having a green-white checkered or something like that. Are you going to fight? Are you going to defend these positions on the front row? Because this is the safest spot right now. I say that as we saw a wreck at a turn 2 with your leaders, but I would argue that positions 1 and 2 are most likely the safest right now.
Yeah, I mean, if I was them, I'd be trying to get to the front. Looking at the time remaining in the top left of the broadcast, we have 15 laps to go, and we only have about 11 minutes left in the session to do it. this could easily come down to a timed race. And if these guys aren't paying attention, or don't have a crew chief on the pit box telling them what's going on, they might get caught out. He might be coming to 7 to go and get the white flag, and that'll be a shock. But I mean, we might see this get more intense and more crazy than it even already was. It's almost like in a real life race where they know there's rain. This race may not go the full distance, and you got to treat every lap like the last lap at this point.
Yeah, as we cross into the 34-minute bracket, I think the only way we're going to beat the time is if we go green from here on out. If we have a caution, obviously, unless the caution happens, say, in around 10 minutes or something along those lines. But I think if we have a caution, once we go green after that, these drivers know that, hey, this race is not going to go the distance. It's going to end under time. I need to gain all the positions I can back. I mean, I wasn't even trying to bring up the time right there, talking about what I would do if I was Guest or Dutton on the front row. But if I'm them, knowing how much time is left in the race, I'm going to defend this. I'm going to block. I'm going to try and stay up there.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to treat it like this last lap. We're probably going to see with these guys the way they are. We've got some very fast guys in the back of the pack. We've got some very aggressive drivers running up front as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more wrecks. As we get to the end of this race here. Will there be time, more laps?
Well, right now you are witnessing the more intense, as I would call it, the more intense heat race of the 3 that we've seen so far this week. We have another one right after this, so don't go anywhere. Another 40 laps, another group of drivers trying to lock their way into the 9th annual I've Got Ballz 400, a race that is reaching its 9th year. I am happy to say I'm a part of this. I know you're happy to be a part of it. Zach, thank you for broadcasting. Everybody else tuning in and watching right now, thank you for being here. You guys are helping make this event even bigger, and I'm looking forward to this restart.
I am too. This is going to be a wild last little about 10 minutes or 11 laps, depending on kind of what goes quicker.
I would say we're going to end this race under green. It might not be the check group, but I think we're going to end it under green. That's how I look at it. Pace truck going to look down pit road right here as your leader, Dutton in the 02 car and Guest in 85. Guest, both leaders kind of missing the shift into gear number 3 right there. It's going to try and it's actually going to stack up the top 3 rows as the top 6 cars about to pull away from your field.
There's a big separation between the top 6 and the rest of the field here, which could lead to a pretty big accordion when they get down the back straightaway. Everyone starts getting runs and all that. I'd be looking at guys like Sean Pellig back there, Kyle Hendricks. They've been up front most of the race, and they're mired back in traffic. They're very aggressive. I want to see them as they get through the field here.
Well, we're in desperate time, desperate measures right now. You got Malik Ray, a car that is 3 wide right now. Your transfer position, the 5th place being held right now by Ryan Williams, as you see Petey Zeller fighting for that 5th position on the inside lane. Aaron Smith and his Fox Body Mustang in 7th right now. Malik Ray once again on that Rowdy Energy Joe Gibbs Racing entry. I mean, this is going to be intense.
Yeah, I mean, this has been very intense in the start. They have not gone single filed out yet. 2 stalemate lines look like a pace lap here as they see 3 wide on the ice in turn number 2. They think better of it, and it lets the top 3 get a little bit of breathing room. And the outside line is kind of falling apart there as they head down the back straightaway.
Outside lane falling apart. Second pack is pretty much back under a blanket right now. Jonathan Hernandez had carried that second field up there with Sean as well in the outside lane. As you see the car on the outside, Octavio in the 08. He's been involved in a couple of wrecks right now, but he's fighting for that transfer spot. Malik Ray makes a daring move to the outside of Petey Zeller as your leader. Cody Dutton just using all the track as we got a car sideways. I believe we're remaining green since we are at the point that time is an issue. That is the 42 of Jonathan Hernandez as your field barrels into turns 1 and 2. Outside lane being led by the pro drivers Michael Guest and Malik Ray in the 51 car as they go to contend for the lead, trying to take it away from Cole Dutton on the inside lane. As they do, Malik Ray 2-car tandem as he pushes Michael Guest in front of your leader, the 08 car, as Malik Ray actually blinks out. I don't know if he blinked out, but they are 3 wide. Octavio into the wall in the 08 car. I mean, this is getting intense. I don't know if Malik Ray fell out of the server. That's going to be a big story if it happened, but your 2 leaders right now, Michael Guest had help from Malik Ray. He's gone right now. Cole Dutton fighting to try and take that lead spot away.
You know, looking at Malik's connection, doesn't look he's, oh, there he is, he's back. And looking at Jonathan Hernandez, it looks like he got a little bit sideways from Alex Bates. Basically got sideways on his own and looped it off of Alex Bates' nose that last lap when he spun in by himself and didn't bring in a caution. See them roar down the back straightaway. Sean Peleg holding in the transfer spot for Malik Ray in 5th, as Josh Burnett in 92 machine. We haven't talked about him very much. He's coming up there into the pack. We've got guys like Petey Zeller, as we see Alistar Topley get very, very loose there in 3 and 4.
Alistar sideways, your leader sideways, moving up the track right now. I mean, these drivers know that this could be it. If we have a yellow right here, it'd most likely end under yellow. We're getting to the point of no return. Like I said, we have about 10 minutes left in the race in time. We have about 8 laps left. It's going to be coming down to this right now. I think a yellow right now would pretty much end the race. I don't see us going back green. I don't think we would have enough time. Right now, the transfer spot once again being held by Malik Ray. Now Sean on the outside by about 3 inches taken, as we have a 3-wide situation. The 64 car got loose. I think he kind of checked up. It upset the car. He's going to enter on the bottom. Malik Ray having to check up. These cars sliding up the track. I mean, this is intense. We have 10 cars, 13 cars actually fighting 4 or 5 positions.
Yeah, we see 3 wide there for the transfer spot. Malik Ray got shuffled out of there in the middle as PDJ Zeller and Sean Peleg squeezed from the middle, as we see PDJ Zeller is now in the transfer spot with Sean Peleg right on his back bumper.
Some stories looking through the field right now. Kyle Hendricks started on pole, fell out back in the race, got involved in a wreck. He's currently running 10th. Malik Ray, the pro, as we have a yellow right now. I don't know if that's going to end the race. I'm not sure what caused that. I think it was Octavia in the 08. I didn't see. I don't know if we're going back green. This could actually end the race.
I don't believe that if this would end the race. I believe if we run out of time, it will give us 1 attempt at a green-white checkered, hopefully. Not really sure how the Irish system will handle that. Hopefully we get a green flag run at the end. If not, it looks like our top 5 is going to be currently showing Cole J. Dutton, Michael Guest in 2nd, Ryan A. Williams in 3rd, Jimmy B. Davis in 4th, and PDJ Zeller in 5th. He barely edged out Sean Peleg there as he came to the moment of yellow. As we look at the replay there, we see Octavio get sideways on his own, hook it back up right in front of Alex Bates. Alex got very lucky there and didn't appear to get any damage. Looks like he net could have threw him. However, it looks like Octavio, who had already used his fast spare, will probably be out of the race.
We'll have to see if we go green. We'll have to see if PD is able to get back on the track. Internet connection being something we really didn't even talk about. Entering this is a adversity to these drivers, but we saw, like you just said, Alex Bates kind of lag through, netcode through the 08 car that was spinning in front of him. Malik Ray disappeared for about half a lap. I don't know how that didn't cause a wreck, but we were lucky that stayed green. I mean, that's just another thing you have to deal with sim racing. We're currently listening to Race Control discussing what is going to happen if we do get a green-white checkered, which I believe we will. I believe we're going to do a green-white checkered. Is that right, Hal?
I believe they're saying that if we don't get the official green-white checkered now, it will not be counted as pointed in return. We have about 10 minutes left in the session. Hopefully, that should give us enough time to kind of basically finish out these last 5 to 6 laps here. But depending on the way they score it here with the restart here,
we'll have to get to you. Lights are still on the pace truck right now, pacing at 80 miles an hour. A lap under yellow takes about 1 minute 27 seconds. So we're going to have to see. I think I just have to see, because we're in uncharted territory right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've never really run into a situation like this. We're basing this off of our elapsed time in the session. However, the remaining time doesn't really start counting down until we take the green flag. So there's about 2 minutes between when we roll off of pit road and when we get to the green flag. So probably about 9 minutes left. So that should be enough time to finish the race under green here if we get back going next lap. But if we get under the yellow because we are not within the point of the return, they can't run under the yellow if we get a caution or a crash before these leaders take the white flag. While we have the time and it's on our minds, point of the return, we need to explain it. Basically, the way it works in this series is If we get a green, white, checkered, what will happen is we will take the green flag. We will get one attempt at the green, white, checkered. No matter what happens, the green flag will come out. We will not throw a yellow. So at that point, once we get a green, white, checkered, there's no yellow on the 2 to go or 1 to go. It's racing it back no matter what happens.
Thank you for explaining that to the viewers at home. I believe we'll see the lights come off the pace truck right now. Brandon Howe going to check with the officials to make sure what the situation is, so we're not confusing you guys. We want to make sure we're on the right page. We can't really hear them because obviously we're talking over them as we're commentating, but right now it's looking like the pace truck lights are going to go off. We got a 1 to go. Stick at the flag stand. We'll be going green next time. Bye. A lot of stories here. I mean, we saw nearly 14 cars fighting for those 5 positions as we had a wreck in the back of the field. How? Any updates for me? What you got?
Yeah, I was talking to race control, some of the drivers up there. It looks like they've got about 10 minutes remaining in their session until we get that session over point. So these guys should have plenty of time. If they don't get a caution here, they'll finish on their green, no issues. If we get one more caution, that'll put us on the green, white, checkered, pretty much, you know, finishing the race as it normally would be. So time does not look like it's going to be a factor here.
Yeah, now see, I mean, if everything's misleading, I'm trusting the drivers there because right now my spectator session says elapsed time of 44 minutes with a 50-minute race. So that's why we were both like, even all 3 of us up here were like, oh, we're getting close to the time. So I guess we have around 9 minutes left. So this race is going to end on the laps. So we're getting ready for possibly the final restart here. If not, we'll probably see another yellow and then another restart.
Yeah, I mean, we have pretty much layer back trend to the race up here when it comes to figuring out what time we had left, and apparently the trends were long. So glad to get official word from race control and the drivers up there in the session. Hopefully we'll have to race it out clean and green here, and we don't have to worry about running into the time clock anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm over here using the sundial, and it's nighttime outside, so that's about as accurate as we are over here. As we come down, we got about 4 or 3 laps. Well, yeah, we'll have 4 laps to go. Pace truck going to bring its way down. Cole Dutton going to lead the field once again with Michael Guest on the outside. Michael Guest going to get a shove from Jeremy B. Davis in that 64 car on the outside lane. Williams on the inside pushing Dutton. Now we got Sean back in contention for the transfer spot. He's going to duck his way down the bottom, trying to slow down Petey Zeller. Don't look now, but you got Malik Ray on the outside lane trying to make a position. He's going to go around Petey on the outside lane as we got cars making moves all over the place.
It looks like the inside lane was the most organized there. It looks like Petey kind of missed a shift or had a slow shift in the 3rd there, and that cost him his transfer position, and he's back to now 6th, 7th. Sean Pellig now holds the transfer spot with Malik Ray fighting on his outside on the top row.
Malik Ray had a huge run down the back straightaway, around 3 miles per hour faster due to the draft. He caught up there. He's fighting for that 5th position. Connor Horn on the inside in that white 67 car getting loose, hitting that little bump on there. We got 6 cars under a blanket right now, 2 by 2 by 2 as they cross the line. We have 3 to go right here, 5 to go, 4 to go. I'm trying to find out, man. I'm like I said, I'm falling apart right here. But your transfer spot right now, Williams in that 28 car. Sean trying to get around him. Right now he's trying to get around Malik Ray on the outside lane. I mean, this is the battle that I think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see a lot of guys make positions as Sean makes contact with Williams. He gets out of the gas. The inside lane has fallen apart. The outside lane has all the momentum. I imagine we're going to see your race leader Dutton possibly fall to 3rd place as pretty much all the cars move to the outside lane. We have this pack fighting for everything as Kyle Hendricks makes contact with Petey. Petey sideways, Hendricks sideways. Aaron Smith in the 70 car. Alex Bates making contact as they slide past the start-finish line. Petey Zeller making more contact with Alex Bates. I mean, we had another big wreck out of turn 4. That's the storyline we've seen this entire session. We're going to have a green-white checkered coming up.
It looks like a lot of these guys are going to be out of contention now. PJ Zeller, I believe, has already used one fast rear. He's got a lot of damage. Alex Bates, I know, has already used his. He's got a lot of damage. Octavio Rondoletto, he's been in basically every caution so far, the poor guy, but he's getting a lot of damage. I believe Kyle had already used his. He's got a lot of damage. So I think these guys back here are in very, very dire straits for the rest of this race, if we even get to go back green. You know, this could have ended the race. We don't know how the green-white checkered situation works when we run out of time. I believe we might have enough time to get up back racing here, but we'll see. If that is the case, it looks like our top 5 will be Michael Guest, Cole J. Dutton, Jeremy B. Davis, Ryan A. Williams, and Malik Ray, with Sean Pellig right on the fence outside looking in.
I would imagine that we're going to get a green-white checkered. The sim is displaying the 1-of-1 green-white checkered as you have a replay on the screen. Kyle Hendricks, as I stated before, he had to battle attrition through the entire race. He hit that bump. Netcode kind of sent Petey around, and everybody else just got collected as they entered the trial.
Yeah, kind of a racing deal there. Kyle bounced it off the bottom of the track there, and that's one of our trouble spots as we talked about all race long. It really caught out guys like Bates and Aaron Smith there. Feel really bad for those guys. Bates had just used his patch spare thinking that it was going to go green to the end, and it just now caught him out and bit him. Part of strategy. Aaron Smith may have another one. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's used it yet. Let's see if his car pops back into repair yep, there it is. He has a patch spare left. Kyle comes down pit road. I don't believe he has one left. I think he'll be having to just repair that car with mallets and duct tape at this point.
Well, we'll see if we go back green, and we'll have to see if Michael Guest can use lessons learned from Philip Snipe, yesterday's Heat 2 winner, as he had to start on the pole in his green-white checkered. Your top 5 right now: Michael Guest, Cole Dutton, Jeremy B. Davis, Ryan Williams, and Malik Ray. Malik Ray currently in the transfer spot. Sean on the outside looking in 6th place. Connor Horn in 7th. Corey Cook in 8th place. I would imagine these are going to be the guys that are going to be fighting for the transfer spot if we go green. Lights are still on the pace car. Jeremy B. Davis is typing in all drivers that the clock is going to be close, like really close, and this is him saying that. What are you saying? I know Jeremy's saying that they're close. What are they telling you?
It sounds like they're going to have about 3.5 minutes left on the clock here, which if they're getting to the 1 to green here, it should give them at least 1 lap. I think if it's a green-white checkered, I think it runs out normally, but we'll just have to see. This is going to be an interesting situation here.
On the edge of our seats just to see if we go back green. This is a situation that we weren't hoping to get to. We were hoping we could do 40 laps in 50 minutes, but right now we're looking like we're going to be right under that. As we get 1 to go with the flag stand, we'll have to see how you help design this setup. You're seeing drivers struggle as they hit the bumps, as they get loose out of the corners, as they're skating over this asphalt. Is that where you were trying to get to? This point in the race, is that what you're trying to put onto the fans? Is that what you're trying to put on in the driver's seats, or is this better than you expected, worse than you expected? What do you think is the setup builder?
What we saw yesterday was really great racing, and we haven't seen it tonight too. It's just these guys are driving a little bit aggressively. It's coming down to the end here, and they're, this car isn't meant to be easy to drive. It's meant to be a challenge, and if you don't respect it, you try to push it too hard, it will bite you, and unfortunately, when you're running this close together, it's going to bite other people as well.
Yeah, and I'll indicate on this checkered because we can see if we're on this restart. We'll see if we get a green and white together, or if we get a green and then a white. I believe we're going to have a green-white checkered, so we'll have 2 to go coming out of turn 4 this time by. Who do you think locks themselves in? Right now, it's Malik Ray in the 5th position. Sean's been aggressive, but very strong during speed weeks, very strong early in the heat. You have people like Corey Cook there, Connor Horn, who has been fast. You have Jonathan Hernandez trying to fight his way back. Alex Bates with a damaged car, but he's going to be doing everything to try and get back up there. Aaron Smith just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but he has a brand new car. Who do you think locks their way in?
I think the top 2 rows are pretty much they should be able to get a good enough restart here as long as they don't mess up any gear changes or anything like that. The real fight's going to be the guys between Malik Ray, Sean Pellig, and all those guys behind them, whether or not they'll be able to push their way forward. This is the point of no return. It's been confirmed by the officials, and in this point of no return, if you cause an accident, you will be stopped scoring at that point. You'll be effectively end of longest line, and if you finish top 5 on the track, you may not finish top 5 on the results page if you cause an accident.
Green flag being displayed. Michael Guest, bad restart there as he lost distance on Dutton on the outside lane. That is checked up the inside. Sean now holding the transfer spot as a 64 of Jeremy Davis, now in 5th place, getting loose from Malik Ray. Malik Ray, a big name on the outside looking in right now. Corey Cook, as I mentioned before that restart, he's on the outside trying to make a move as we got 1.5 laps remaining in heat number 3.
As they fan out down the back straight, we see guys making moves. We got 3 wide between Cole J. Dutton and Michael Guest. It's back to 2 wide as Sean sneaks ahead of them. The front 2 single out as Ryan A. Williams drives at the banking and gets a good run off of turn number 4 here. right now, transfer position is Cole J. Dutton. He's been up front all day long. We haven't really seen him back here. How will he react when he's in the back of the field here?
Cole Dutton went from leading this race now in the transfer spot as we have 1 lap to go right now. Do we? Yeah, final lap. White flag being displayed to the drivers. No caution will be coming out right here. Your transfer spot, Dutton in the O2 as a car gets in the wall on the outside. That's Ryan Williams. His chance at an IGB start might be disappearing right now as we have Connor Horn 3 wide. This is the battle for 5th place. On the outside, Dutton. 67 is Connor Horn, Petey Zeller on the inside. Your top 4 pretty much safe at this point. I would argue that we get a 3 wide entry. Petey making contact with Connor Horn. They're going to have a big wreck. 3 cars, 5 cars upside down, but that's going to lock in your top 5 drivers coming to the checkered flag out of turn 4 through the start finish line. It's going to be Sean in that 17 car, Michael Guest in the 85, Malik Ray, Jeremy B. Davis, and Dutton in the O2, locking their way in. Petey trying to be aggressive, just, ran out of space, trying to make something happen there. That's what ended up causing that wreck out of turn 4.
We might need to watch the start finish line here and to see who finishes 16th and 17th. There's a bunch of cars out here with heavy damage trying to race their way back. Whoever does not make it in will not make it through.
I believe we got the top 16 cars because Frazier did leave, so right. 16 cars finished. No, you're good. So 6 through 16th rather, going to the LCQ. What a battle out of the corner. We're going to try and get Sean in here to talk about his win. He is trying to lock his way in. He has actually done it. He won his heat last year. He was just short of making the IGB. Now this year, he's a heat race winner. As we wait,
it looks like we got both the crew chief and the driver of Sean Pellig and Nicholas to sit on the box for him tonight.
Some classic.
Oh, as I'm walking down here to the 17, as he's burning down the grass, I got both his spotter, Nicholas Doucette, and the man himself, Sean. Sean, how does it feel? Last year, you were just short. You missed the IGB. This race, you were up in the front leading. You made a block that may have cost some guys, but hey, you made it back into the front. You're winning this heat. How do you feel, driver?
Oh, it feels great. I was really worried with that clock running down. I wasn't sure if we were going to have time. I wasn't sure if I was going to have time to go from 6th to 1st, but, sometimes you just got to use lessons to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory at Daytona.
I mean, yesterday we had Philip Snipe running a black 51 car that looked just like Dale Earnhardt at Talladega. You used lessons learned to go from 6th to 1st. I mean, this is an Earnhardt type of week. Nicholas, I'll get back to you, Sean, but I got to talk to Nicholas right here. Nicholas, how are you feeling as the spotter, as the crew chief, as the strategy holder for that 17 car entering the last green-white checker?
Well, I'll tell you, since you mentioned that it's an Earnhardt theme, I should mention to you that I'll remind you that my car for this event is the Dale Earnhardt car. But no, I pretty much let the strategy be in Sean's hands. I didn't want to screw him up. I wanted it to be all on him. Every decision he made on the track was his. I was just there to give him, just let him know what lane had the better run. Give him a little bit of information on how he was doing on fuel. That was more at the beginning of the race, when it was still questionable about the fuel. And nope, everything he did on the track, I let it be up to him. He did a great job. He understood that he needed to be in the top 5 there on that final restart, and he did it just perfectly.
Well, even if you were letting Sean make all the calls, you've technically been the spotter for 2 heat race victories. I'm sure you feel good. You were spotting for Philip and you were spotting for Sean here. Sean, tell me, what did it feel like coming out of turn 4, seeing that the field was wrecking behind you, knowing that you were locked in? I mean, I imagine that you're head over heels right now for, making the race.
Oh, I'm so happy. I mean, these days, most of my wins end up happening with a wreck in the mirror, but it doesn't matter as long as I cross the line first. I'm just so thankful to be in the race this year, so thankful that I could just make it through, make it back up to the front from the rear, and lock myself into this great race.
Well, thank you for taking your time. You got anybody you want to shout out or anybody that helps makes this happen?
I'd like to thank Winstel. I'd like to thank Brennan for making this league. I'd like to thank my family. I'd like to thank Brandon Howe, always one of my best coaches on restrictor plate races. I'd like to thank you, Brandon Cruz, for helping put on this event. I'd like to thank Nick for helping me through this race. Just great race. Happy to be here. I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Erin, too.
Oh, well, you always got to make sure to include the girlfriend, otherwise they get mad. But Sean, congratulations. Like I said, from last year missing the IGB to this year being a heat race winner, congratulations. I am so happy for you. Hal, you got anybody else you want to talk to, or do you want to focus on trying to get on the second server?
It looks like we got Cole sitting here in the interview waiting room. We can go ahead and talk to him as we transfer between sessions.
All right, well, I'll let you go ahead and bring Cody Dutton up into the broadcast booth, and I'll let you talk to Cody Dutton, and I'm sending him to you right now.
Cole, you were up front pretty much the whole race. Very close there at the end. You barely made it through in fifth position to the transfer spot.
Yeah, that got those last couple laps were nerve-wracking after being in the lead up front the whole time. I just got shuffled out there on that last restart and almost wrecked 2 or 3 times on the whole last lap. So I was disappointed I didn't win, but I'm happy to be in the race tomorrow.
Made it through in, I believe, the first heat yesterday. How was it out there? You probably didn't have very many friends, kind of an individualist out here outside of your brother who wasn't in the race with you.
Yeah, definitely. It was just trying to. I wasn't as aggressive as I will be tomorrow. It was really iffy on blocking runs and stuff like that. Like, try to keep your position. I used the ARCA mentality of trying to stay on the yellow line and make that my best friend, and it kind of cost me there at the end. But definitely looking forward to working with Cody tomorrow.
Yeah, we saw you early kind of testing the waters there with trying to hold guys back and all that. It wasn't really seem to work out. These cars don't get much of a push when you go through the get to the back of the guys, so it is kind of hard to hold the lead from my experience, and I'm sure you found it out too. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Definitely Cody. He's been in my ear the whole time, watching me and coaching me and everything, and he's really the one who taught me how to drive these things. So me and him have a good time with them, and everybody who put on the broadcast, you guys, and excited to be a part of this and ready to race tomorrow.
Yeah, man, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming out here, and congrats on making it through to the big show on Sunday.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Well, we're going to have a lot of duplicate names tomorrow. We're going to have Nicholas Doucette, Ryan Doucette, Cole, and Cody Dutton. I mean, I imagine at some point we're going to see the top 4 of just those 2 names. Hal, what did you think about this? I know we came close to running out of time, but that ended up bringing a amazing green-white checkered finish. Anything that you want to mention before we get into the second session?
Again, I mean, it looked like, you really can move through back to front. I mean, we saw Sean back about 15th with about 5-10 laps to go. And he was able to work his way back to the front to get to the lead. A lot of times we don't really see that. We see a lot of stagnating. The top 5 was shuffled around the entire time. There was no time where you were really safe the whole basically race there. So it's going to be, again, I believe, another wild event here as we go to the second heat of the night.
Second heat of the night, final heat of the week, looking for the remaining 5 spots to join McKissick, Hawken, Roberts, Bowden, Chin, McAdams, the 2 Duttons, Koliniks, Riley, Snipe, and everybody else who finished up in front of their heats. Tomorrow, the main event, the 9th annual IGB 400, going to be right after the LCQ. The LCQ is going to be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. The remaining spots will be filled, which it's looking like around 5 or 6 positions are going to be taken from that for us to get our full 43-car field for Sunday's main. Sunday main is going to be at 7:25. Then we race for 160 laps, $1,000 purse, paying out from first to 20th, first receiving $250, 20th receiving 10th, no entry fee. Fastest qualifier got 15, Alex Koliniks. I mean, this is the biggest this race has ever been. This is an amazing race. This is a huge race. I am looking forward to this. And as we let practice and qualifying run out in this current session, we're going to head over and take a quick commercial break. Stick around and we'll bring you heat racing action from heat number 4.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to live coverage here on STN of the I've Got Ballz 400 heat races. We're entering heat number 4, a full field, 18 cars fighting for the top 5 positions to get locked into tomorrow's race. 6th through 16th lock their way into the LCQ. 17th and 18th, their week, their chances at making the big event are going to be over as we finish qualifying here. How do you think this race is going to go? The first heat yesterday, we saw some early crashes and then it kind of settled out. The second heat yesterday, we saw it go green almost the entire race. And then this last heat that we just witnessed, we had a record-breaking amount of cautions compared to the other heat races here. We nearly ran out of time. Do you think we're going to see anything like that? I mean, we got big names in this race. Garrett Lowe, Blake Neer, a guy who has ran very well in past IGB weeks. I mean, just names left and right. Colton Salick, Andy Trippanano, Steve Bonesteel from CFI, Connor Babel. I mean, anybody is in this heat here.
Yeah, we got guys like Sean Butler, Justin Melillo. Sean's always a fast guy on plate tracks. Justin Melillo has always been fast in the old FTF series and Sunday Night Super Speedway League. We got Brian Mercurio. He was in the Pro Series this year. Unfortunately, didn't make it through the Coke Series, but again, made it through the Road to Pro. He's one of the top guys in this series as well. And he's starting on a pole with a blistering time of 42.895. As we talked about the last race or last night, typically the way these go is there's one wild and one mild, and hopefully the last race was the wild race and this race can be the mild race. And if last race was the mild race and this is the wild race, and we're going to be in for a hell of a show. But I expect this to be a little bit more mild. We don't have guys who are typically as aggressive. These guys tend to be very calm and calculated drivers. Garrett Lowe, Brian, Sean, they're all very confident in these cars and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, as my anticipation for this heat is building, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also a bit sad. This will be the last time you hear myself and Hal up in the booth as we are both locked into the IGB on Sunday. So our last little Brandon and Brandon show for this week with Brian, a guy who is very quick in qualifying. He just missed the pole by a few tenths. And then you have pole contender Garrett Lowe starting third. I mean, this is a stacked field.
But Cruz, don't get too sad yet. We are doing the last chance qualifier tomorrow afternoon. Here on STN.
No, see, this is I know STN is doing it. I didn't know we were doing it. This is new news for me. So it's not the last time you're going to hear us. At least that'll be fun. I can see the wreck fest that'll be, because I imagine that's going to be insane. People are going to be ducking and diving trying to fight for those positions there. Yeah, of course I'm going to join. I'm looking forward to it as we send the field through 3 and 4, the calm before the storm.
And again, as the last race, or as with last race, I should say, we have 18 cars on the grid today. So there will be 2 drivers who will not make it through to the last chance qualifier come the checkered flag following tonight.
Brian in the 40 car, Scotty in the 101, Blake Neer in the 9, Garrett Lowe in the 06. You're starting 4 here in the final heat for the week. Green flag is out. Brian and Scotty both having good times. Scotty going to try and duck in right behind. I actually don't know if that'll be a penalty or not because he did switch lanes technically before the line. We'll have to see what race control does there. But the field already being spread out.
Yeah, it looks like these guys are going to try to run in line together and run some laps. They probably were all had an eye either in spectator or watching the broadcast with us for the last race. And they probably had that in their head. They, want to get out in front early and kind of calm it on down.
Brian and Scotty linked up right now. Your lone car on the outside, that 35 of Sean M. Butler, trying to make something happen there as we have Blake Neer possibly going to the outside lane. He's going to bring it back down the inside. I can already see that this race is much calmer than the last one as we had Ryan 61 in the back of your screen right there. Almost getting the wall as your top 5 drivers. Zachary Robinson, your 5th place transfer spot right there. They're slowly starting to pull away from the field as Christian Sanford in the 30 cars trying to gain some speed and some distance on him. Garrett Lowe as well in the 06 car. I mean, this is already spreading out much more than any heat we've seen so far.
Yeah, this so far is the most clean and green heat we've seen so far. Top 3 are checking out even from the top of the 4th through 6th place cars, and we've got quite the gap between 6th and 7th there as we see Justin Mallow diving into the corner there, way up to the outside wall. Keeps out of it though. He keeps single file to out of turn number 4 and down the start finish line.
Jonathan Thompson in 11th position right now, pretty much the only car kind of outside this main line. This, I would say, this leader, this leading pack, rather. Garrett Lowe at the tail end of that. Cosman in the 84, Ryan in the 61. I mean, I imagine that we're going to see this go cream. This is looking very similar to, as I say that, we have a spin in the back of the field. Yellow is out. Jonathan Thompson, I just mentioned, he was the first car in pretty much the second pack. I don't know if he caused it, but right now he's the only car sideways. We'll have to get a replay on your screen to see what happened there.
Yeah, I didn't catch what happened either. We do see there are several cars involved with some pretty significant damage. These are probably going to be fast repairs. See if we can get a replay here in a second.
As you look on your screen, you see Jonathan Thompson in the 03 car. You see that he just entered a bit high, maybe fed the car too much wheel as he's trying to keep it down. He's trying to, but the car is just wanting to pull its way. He ends up collecting 3 other drivers. I imagine that these guys are just going to have to take their fast repair right here. Connor Babel taking the brunt of that impact in the front of that 56 Pepsi machine. But early accidents and early fast repairs being used here.
Yeah, you see, he tried to hold it down there and he came right back up and just collected Connor Babel and about 4 others. I'd like to see it from Connor Babel. I think he may not have taken the best line through there, but I'd like to see what he saw and, kind of get his perspective because he was the first car really on the scene.
Yeah, early wreck, lap number 3 out of turn 2. I don't know about you, but I think this is going to be, now that we're 4 heats in, we're seeing turn 4. As you see on screen, the onboard of Babel in that 56 car, he had nowhere to go. But we're seeing that the corners are the dangerous spots. Nothing's really happening on the tri-oval. It's just the corners. Either entering, you're getting loose, you're giving the car too much wheel, or the rear end's wanting to come around, or you're entering, or you're exiting too high or too low, and you're hitting bumps, getting in the wall, as we see most of the league to take some fuel and tires right now.
Yeah, probably the same strategy we saw last race where you want to kind of get fuel now and tires probably don't really matter too much here. And I imagine just about every guy involved in that wreck is probably going to need a fast repair because those were some heavy hits. It looks like Connor Babel from the onboard there. He was trying to get around the outside and try to full throttle around there and it just didn't work. And when you make that kind of a choice, sometimes it works out, but if it doesn't work out, you're going to make heavy contact and you have to use a fast repair. And you really don't want to be using your fast repair on lap 5, but that's the situation, then it is what it is.
Yeah, it looks like Scotty Shed took 2 tires, first car out. Everybody else is pretty much going to maintain their positions, as we do have Sean Butler, who came in first. He's leaving second.
Looking down on pit road, it looks like the Connor Babel machine, he did need to take his fast repair. Only driver here involved in that wreck who's going to try to fix their car is Justin Thompson. We'll have to see how much that affects him, because, I mean, he took a very hard shot to the back of the car. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't have 3-4 minutes damage, plus a little bit of engine damage. We come back, joining the field into back straightaway here, catching up to the pace car. Looks like the first car to pit road is going to be Scotty Shed. Second place car is going to be Mr. Sean M. Butler. Third is going to be Ryan Carlisle. Fourth, Justin Malillo. And fifth, Cosman out on issue. Sixth place looking in is currently Zachary Robinson with his 48 machine. Seventh is Christian Sanford. Eighth is Brian Mercurio. His Bar Visuals low line racing machine. Up into ninth is Connor Babel. Garrett Lowe is 10th. Jeffrey L. McClintock and a Stacy's Ride number 69 machine is in 11th. Blake Neer 10th or 12th. I can't count. Andy Trippiano and his number 7 machine classic blue and black car is in 13th. Jared Bailey's in his number 72 machine is in 13th. Come around, we see some guys topping off on fuel here. Looks like Andrew Trippiano and Jeffrey McClintock are going to try to top off on fuel as they come to the 1 to green here.
1 to green being displayed to the drivers here. A little bit of an intense start here, a little bit more action than I thought we'd see, because we saw the field get single file. I didn't think we'd see much, although this was at the back half of your pack. It wasn't necessarily the leaders racing, but just an indication of how difficult this setup is and how difficult this car is to drive at this track.
Yeah, there's no rear spoiler on this car. It's down at 10 degrees, so I mean, it might as well just be a piece of paper flopping around the breeze back there. So when you start getting kind of sideways, you don't really keep up with the steering. When it gets around on you, it gets around on you, and you don't get to bring it back. It's very narrow track here, very bumpy, very narrow. And when trouble happens in front of you on the racetrack, you have a very slim chance of avoiding it. So for Connor Babel and a few guys back there, about 4 cars took damage in that last wreck.
Well, Scotty Shed in the 101 car started first. He's currently your leader. Like I said, I believe he only took 2 tires, but he was up in the front. He knows what his car has. I imagine he's going to be very strong on this restart. We saw him fighting for the lead, fighting in the front pack. So I'm not too concerned about him, as we've seen guys, in the other heat races, maybe guys who weren't familiar with the setup or weren't familiar with how their cars would feel starting up front. I don't think we really have to worry about that with Butler and Shed starting up in the front. But here we go. Restart number 2 coming to you live here on STN. The pace truck ducks its way down to pit road. Green flag waving to your leader, Scotty. A fantastic restart. Like I said, almost too fantastic. He's got no one behind him right now. Sean ran out of space. He can't get down to the bottom, and now the leader's going to come back up the track. Scotty in the high line. Sean right behind him, going to try and duck in front of the 61, but he's just going to run out of time. Ryan at 61 had a lot of momentum. Cosman in the 84C machine in that blue. What is that? A Nissan? Once again, Nissan Skyline. They're fighting up there. You see the leader going back up, blocking the outside lane. This is getting intense once again.
Yeah, right now, top 4 have kind of settled out double file with Justin Malillo in the 5th place spot right now, being fought by Christian Sanford on his inside. Scotty, I didn't think was going to be able to hold that position off there, but he did a good job blocking Sean down the back straightaway and keeping the lead as it come out of turn number 4. Also want to point out that Justin Thompson sat on pit road for a while, fixing damage. He is about 3/4 of a lap behind the leaders. He's just now going down the middle of the back straightaway as the leader's heading to turn number 1, and he's very, very off the pace right now. So unless he gets a caution in the fast repair, he's going to be out of this race. He just very, very loose in the turn number 1 there on the outside of the speedway.
A little bit of off pace from Jonathan in the 03 car. Like I said, 2 cars. Their week ends right here. They do not qualify for the LCQ. Top 5 qualify for the IGB. Top 6 through 16th qualifying for the LCQ. As everybody pretty much ducks to the outside lane, now they're throwing it to the bottom of turns 3 and 4. Cosman a bit loose in that 84 car. Justin having to check up a bit in that 53. As you see, the 56 of Connor Babel caught up in that last crash. Now he's fighting for 7th right now, as you have your leaders 2-car tandem through the tri-oval. Everybody's kind of spreading out right now. We're not seeing as intense racing as we saw earlier. Pretty much the only battle right now is for 5th, as Zachary Robinson in the 48 throws it to the bottom of the pass of 61.
And as you say that, there goes Sean Butler for the lead there. With it being 90-degree air temperature, these cars will overheat if you push the back bumper of the guy ahead of you. These guys can get up to 270 or so on water before they really need to start getting out and finding some clean air. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean's motor was just running warm. They needed to make a move. But in doing so, he's shuffled up the pack again, and we have re-energized the field. And we have a very heavy race going on for second on back as Sean kind of scoots away up there in the lead.
Connor Babel on the outside lane in that 56 Pepsi machine. A lot of momentum out of turn 4, keeping it through the trial right now. He takes 5th away from Zachary Robinson in the 48. I don't think he's done. I think we see the 56 fighting for the lead in a few laps. Sean Butler, your current leader right now, the outside lane, looking dominant as that's where everybody wants to be in the corners. Then they duck it down on the straightaways. As I say that, Sean Butler going to the middle lane. Scotty right behind Sean in that 101 car. He's going to duck to the inside lane. Don't think he meant to do that. I think the car just got a bit sideways on him as your positions stay the same entering turns 3 and 4.
And we see Sean kind of controlling the lane there. He did scoot up a little bit more than I typically like to see of a guy at the entrance through 3 and 4. A lot of scrub on that wheel, but maintains the lead here as we see the 40 machine of Brian Mercurio really try to fight for second here. I don't think Sean and Scotty are really trying to race too hard. They seem to be working pretty well together. I think they're content to just ride 1 and 2 here and let it just kind of play out until we get to the end here. Because these guys are going to need to pit stop around lap 25 to 30 to make it to the end on fuel.
Your top 9, 8/10 behind the leader. The next cars will be Garrett Lowe and Blake Neer. They are 1.1 and 1.2 seconds respectively, as we have some slicing and dicing over here in the lead pack. Sean Butler still leading. Brian in the 40 car losing momentum on that outside. I mean, it's just how you enter that corner. It's how you enter turns 1 and 3. If you enter well, you're going to have a lot of momentum. If you enter a bit higher, if you got to put a lot of wheel into the car, you're going to lose that momentum. As right now, your top 4 single file flying into turn 1.
Yeah, speaking of momentum, I saw there on the Speed Vision telemetry there with Brian Mercurio, about 20 miles an hour of a delta between your mid-corner speed and the end of the straightaway speed. We saw him hit about 215 miles an hour as the field approaches. As we pull that up again, he's exited his turn 2 at 200 miles an hour, flies on the back straightaway, gaining about 1,000 RPM, up to 215, 16, 17 miles an hour as he heads off into turn number 3 on the bottom of the racetrack, down to about 196 at the mid-corner speed, about 199.87. As he heads back down the start-finish line, we see Justin Thompson. Looks like he's pulling it in. He may be done for the race, calling it quits today.
Justin Thompson already being scored 1 lap down. Looks like he's going to fall to 2 laps down. He will most likely be your 18th finisher, as Scotty got a bit sideways as Brian threw it down to the inside lane. I wanted to bring up this is a great example of what we wanted from the setup, as Scotty and Brian get close to making contact there, and you see Connor Babel yet again with a lot of momentum pushing Scotty in the 101 as they're going to contend for the lead. Is Scotty going to throw it to the bottom? Sean threw it to the bottom, kind of slowed him down. Now the outside lane had to check up as everybody's paying attention to what the leaders are doing. But I was going to say that this is very reminiscent to late 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s style of racing here at Daytona, and that's really what we wanted to get.
Yeah, we really want to see a good bit of separation. We don't want to see the field just packed up on one another and just bonsai moves all the time. We want to be able to move through the field and have, more of almost of a 2-mile type of race where it's, you do have to lift up the throttle, you do have to watch your tires, and it's more of a handling race and who can keep their car driving good versus who can just full throttle to the front. As we see this race being pretty much a lot more almost respectful or calmer, I guess would be the better word, than what we saw last time. We see a lot of good racing, a lot of side-by-side racing, but guys are really giving each other a lot of room. They're really respecting each other out here, and it's putting on a really good show for the top 5 positions. As we see Zachary Robinson this time around will come in ahead of Connor Babel to cross the line to 5th in the transfer spot, but that could easily change as they head into turn number 1.
Respectful racing, giving each other room. Jonathan Thompson came into pit road. He got his faster pair. He's now scored 3 laps down. That was him who was on the apron last time the field came down the came down the back straightaway. You saw him not wanting to mess up the race for anybody. I mean, that's the type of sportsmanship that we want to see, as we might see a battle for the lead as Sean is on the outside, although he does have help from that green 40 car of Brian, as the 30 car of Christian Sanford going to bring it down to the bottom lane. Now Connor Babel is the 3rd car on the outside. These are the dominant cars. I imagine that they're going to stay up here. Cosman has been really quick in his 84C machine. I imagine once we get later in the race, we'll see him start to race or really try and make moves. Right now, they're just riding the whole field, racing much more calmly, giving each other way more room than we've seen in the previous heat.
One driver I want to point out who we don't see in this top pack right now, Garrett Lowe. He's about a second off the back of this 8th place car here, running in 10th place now. This is the highest iRating driver in the field. He has about an 8350 iRating. He's been a long-time fan favorite in the Peak Series, or Coke Series now. The Wood Brother Machine, Motorcraft Ford, pulling up, kind of sitting back here riding. I think he's trying to save tires, save fuel, but look for him at the end of the race. You know, Garrett Lowe is somebody who's, you know, going to be, you know, very flashy. He's going to just kind of be a Kevin Harvick character where he kind of comes up and sneaks away, and, you know, he can steal one from you if you're not paying attention. We see the 48 machine of Zachary Robinson pound the wall there off of turn number 4. It looks like he's going to keep it straight, keep it clean. We're going to remain green.
What an accordion effect. Zachary just checked up, and as soon as he let off the gas, he hit that bump. It threw him into the outside wall. You saw your leaders get close to making contact, the 101 and the 40 car. They nearly caused an accident there, but they did not. I was going to bring up that I think Connor Babel and Sean Butler, the 35-year leader, that's Sean, and then the 56 of Connor, I think they have the 2 best cars. I'm looking at how they're wheeling it, how they're entering the corners. They're not really fighting the cars too much. Sean, obviously your leader, he's been up front. He's been maintaining that track position. He started 6th. Connor started 16th. He's now up in 5th, but he's had to deal with being involved in a wreck. He's out of fast repairs, but I think he's the second fastest car. It's not there on the lap time because, you know, he's in a pack or he's having to check up and stuff, but just how the 56 is running. I mean, this car is looking perfect.
Yeah, and also the 101 car of Scotty Shed. Kind of a dark horse. We haven't really seen much about him. He's a C-Class driver, kind of new to this car, new to this series. Not really somebody you really think about and, you know, really see very often. But he's been holding his own up here. He's been holding a very steady line behind Sean Butler and been in the top 2 and 3 all night long.
This is the first race that we really haven't seen a whole lot of transferring of positions other than that instant that brought out a yellow, the last yellow that we had. Right now, the guys who started up front on this last restart, those drivers that are right there, Garrett Lowe, a fan favorite right now, he is 1 point, wait till scoring catches up. He's 1.6 seconds off your leader. He had to check up a bit when they got sideways out of turn 4. So I know he'll be back up there, but he has a way to go right now as we're nearly halfway through this heat.
Yeah, I mean, so far it looks pretty clean and green. The top 8 cars right now have got a pretty big gap between them and Garrett Lowe now. I don't know if it's just that Garrett doesn't have enough cars behind them. As you kind of look back to the field here, not very organized back there. And, you know, if you aren't really up there to have a drafting partner when you make these green flag stops and can get back up there for green flag stops, we saw last night that really put a hamper on your ability to get up to the front and transfer into the race.
Speaking of that, since we've been green, I'm not exactly sure what lap we went back green, but we were not good on fuel. If we stay green, we will see green flag pit stops. The tires are starting to wear. Last time out of 4, you saw Christian Sanford get loose as he's right on the right rear of Cosman in the 84. Man, that is dangerous. If Cosman gets loose or anything, he is going to be right reared into the wall as they are side by side for the lead for 3rd and for 5th.
Yeah, again, we got the leaders here racing pretty hard now. If you're Garrett Lowe, this is exactly what you want to see. This is going to slow that lead pack down and really give you a good chance to get a big draft and, you know save yourself compared to what they're doing ahead of you. And this will...
As we get a wreck on the speedway, I don't think yellow's going to come out, but it's Andrew in the 34 car. Nobody's around him. He's not blocking the track. I believe we're going to keep it green here as we have the leaders starting to get ready, starting to get their strategy squared away for pitting under green.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like from what I can tell, we're going to have about pit stops probably around lap 28 to 30. But really, now that we're past halfway, they can pit really anytime they want now, depending on how they want to run the strategy. From what I've talked to with a couple of spotters, looks like the 34 car of Andrew Pantneck is kind of lost on his own, didn't get in anybody's way, didn't impede anybody. That's why we stay clean and green. Unfortunately for him, but, you know, you can own your mistakes sometimes.
That might cost Andrew his chance at an LCQ as he sits 17th right now, quite a way off the pace as we get your leader, your new leader, Scotty Shed. He's been up front the whole time, but he took advantage of Butler getting loose in the corner. He took the momentum and got around, and yet again, that 56 of Connor Babel, a guy that I've been talking about this entire race, a strong-looking car right now. I think the 2 strongest cars right now are 2nd and 3rd in this race.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems to be. I mean, the top 5 has been the top 5 the entire race so far. Connor Babel also pulling up from back in front. So we get our first round of green flag pit stops here with Scotty Shed and Shannon Butler having a very close call on pit road there. Looks like Scotty's going to get a black flag if you're going below the pit entry cone there. That's going to really hurt him today. You hate to see that.
Yeah, black flag going to be displayed to the driver for an incorrect pit entry. Obviously, here at the old Daytona here on the iRacing service, you got to be inside those 2 cones. So that might give Andrew in the 34 a chance to finish 16th. It all depends on if we get a yellow or not as your field continues down the back straightaway. Connor Babel, your leader, with the 40 car right behind him. Connor indicating that he wanted to pit there. I don't know if there's a mix-up. Connor is trying to indicate that he wanted to pit this time. He wanted to slow down. He's having to back out of that. Not what Connor wanted. He wanted to pit that time. He even said in the chat, I don't know if Brian saw that or not, but they nearly made contact, so Connor is going to have to go around. He lost a tremendous amount of speed because he was trying to slow down for that entry. I don't think he's going to retain the lead after he pits and everybody cycles through.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Mercurios had a very hot entry there. I don't know if he got that at pit road speed or not. We'll see if he's able to, avoid a black flag there, but he was hot on the brakes there as he entered pit road.
Connor Babel, we're going to try it again. He's going to try and pit, but he's got lap cars in front of him this time. What does he do? Does he stay out? Does he sit behind him right now? 198 in the corner. I think he has to, he's going to pit this time for sure. Nothing is being easy for Connor right now. Out of faster pairs. He's got to slow down. He's got to make the cones. He barely makes it. I think he's good on speed, but he is having to fight for his transfer position right now.
Yeah, that's not going to really help him. He spent a lot of time out on track with the draft, and he had to slow down a decent chunk of speed there. Probably lost about half a second to a second there trying to get behind those lap cars, or not lap cars, but cars exiting the pits and merging back up the speed there. This is our last round of stops here, it looks like, and we should see the field kind of get back to our, as we update scoring, just see who is leading and who is not.
Yeah, we got to wait for everybody to cross the line right here. The whole field is spread out on the track, as right now you see another car going into pit lane. Let's check and see who your current leader is right now. I believe it's Colton Salick. He's going into pit road right now. The person who would take over would be, as we get Connor Babel sideways on the apron in turns 1 and 2, he nearly brings out a yellow. He nearly loses it as Garrett Lowe and other cars fly by him. That pack including Blake Neer and Scotty Shed. I think that these are your relative leaders once everybody pits, but we'll have to see.
Connor again making mistakes here. This whole strategy or cycle of green flag stops has not been helpful to him at all. He's lost a lot of ground, and he's going to be pretty far in the back, and he's going to have chewed up tires there after getting dead centers on pit road. He didn't get on pit road on time with Brian and his team like he wanted to. He didn't get a good entry to pit road, getting stuck behind some cars cycling through their stops, and then he got sideways on pit exit, and it's really going to kind of add up and summate to really hurt him here, because he may not even have draft off the back of the 30 machine of Christian Sanford ahead of him by about a second. Let's see how this cycles out for him.
Your current leader right now, Colton Salick, barely getting back up to speed. The group behind him includes Garrett Lowe and Blake Neer. I think they're going to take the lead right here. Scotty did have to go into pit road to serve a penalty or stay in his pit a little bit longer. He's looking at
we got
one lap down.
On the turn number 3 and 4.
Oh, big wreck. Hard contact for Christian Sanford in the 30, and the 7 car Connor Babel squeaking through. I don't see any damage on him, but not what you wanted to see. I think Scotty's going to get the wave around right here, the lucky dog, but we got to check and see what happened there in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Chris, it looks like Scotty's going to get the lucky dog here. Jeffrey McClintock also looks like he had a pit penalty, and he is also a lap down. So he will probably be trapped a lap down here as we go through the cycle of stops. So you look at the replay there. Looks like Steve Bonesfield just got a little bit sideways going through 3 and 4, and just it caught up. He couldn't catch up to it, and just lost in front of a couple guys there, and it cost. You watch one more time. Yeah, entered in a little bit too high. Got his right rear in the loose stuff. Tries to keep it off Justin Malolo's car. Adjusting it to the slight bit of right front damage. It's a great job of hanging on to that race car, as we see Andy Scipiano and Steve Bonesteel, as well as Christian Sanford on the 30 machine, all collected in this accident here in 3 and 4. The driver we've been kind of focusing on there, the 56 of Connor Babel, got very lucky there. He was put himself in the back there with his poor green flag cycle of stops. Here's the right aboard Justin Malo. As we kind of see Justin Bonesteel entering in a little bit too high. got sideways, and at this point you're saying, oh no, oh no, oh no, and whew, hang on to it, and we're good. There's a little bit of right front damage here for Justin, and hopefully he's able to fix that and continue on with his race.
Yeah, but a little bit of right front damage for Justin is certainly better than losing the car or overcorrecting into the wall, as we saw in qualifying on Sunday. Some guys would get sideways like that and bring it back into the wall. Justin did an amazing job right there to not ruin his race or anybody else's race. And that incident that involved Steve Bonesteel in the corner happened at almost the worst time, because some of the cars were up to speed, some were still flying because they had pitted earlier. I mean, it was a mismatch of different speed where everybody was in the track. I'm surprised we didn't have more cars involved than we did.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been a massive one for a bunch of guys. They were kind of minimal damage for how big that could have and should have been, but luckily these guys should be able to pick their cars, take their fast spares, and get back going again, as we see most of them come down pit road to take 4 tires and fill up with Sunoco racing fuel.
Yeah, some guys going back in as we have 13 to go, as we're under caution here on STN. Garrett Lowe, a car that we were talking about, a driver we were talking about earlier in the race for running around 10th, 9th, about a second off the pace, or not off the pace, but behind the leader earlier. He's going to cycle to the lead with Blake Neer, another name known here in the IGB week. I mean, these guys played it as perfect as you can get. They really didn't put themselves at risk early in the race. They took advantage of pit cycling to get up to the front, and I doubt that they're going to give up their positions easy.
Yeah, I mean, we want to talk about Scotty Shed here. This is a massive, massive break for him. If this caution didn't come out, this would have been a race over him. He was trapped the lap down after making a bad green flag stop. He went below the pit commitment cone, got an unsafe pit entry. This is going to put him back in contention. He's going to be about 16th here on the restart, and he's going to have to work his way to the front. So that's going to be very interesting. One of the fastest cars on track, how they can work their way back to the field. We saw Sean Peleg in the last event was able to work his way back to the field miraculously, like a knife through butter, and win that event. Scotty Shed had a chance to do the same thing. He has the same number of laps that Sean did, so it's very, very possible to see him back at the front, locking himself into the 2021 I've Got Ballz 400.
We have 12 laps to go this time by. All 18 cars are still on the field. Thompson in the 03 car, 2 laps down. He's going to need a lot of help. He's going to need a lot of help to get those laps back. McClintock in the 69 car, 1 lap down. 16 cars still on the lead lap. If you're top 16, if you're 16 through 6, you qualify for the LCQ. Top 5 lock themselves into the A main tomorrow. The coveted, the historic I've Got Ballz 400 race in its 9th year, a $1,000 purse. That's what everybody is fighting for. That's what this week is all about. That's what these heat races are all about. I mean, the pressure is on right here. We're going to have around 11 laps to go when they come out of turn 4 this time by. I mean, it is go time. You can't save. You got to race. You understand what your car has. I mean, the last 30 laps have taught you a lot about your competitors, your car, the track. Now it's time to, get rid of that homework and do the test.
Guys, watch him head off in the 3 and 4 here to take the green flag. Notice the track has gotten a little bit shaded here. There must be a cloud over the sun right now. This is going to help these guys get some grip. We see some rubber being laid down there. That's going to help grip. And now the track's going to cool off just a little bit for the shoot up to the finish here. We're going to have 11 laps to go. The strategy's been unified. Everyone had a chance to come out here, take 4 tires, get fuel in their cars. Everyone's back to how they were when they started. It's gonna be a run to the end. Basically, what you have is what you got, and no more strategy. Just go, go, go from here to the end.
Literally the calm before the storm, as we have an overcast over the Daytona International Speedway as Garrett Lowe brings the field into travel for possibly the last time. We're going to have 11 laps to go here. Garrett Lowe having a great start right here. Blake Neer on the outside lane, most likely going to fall behind his friend, his teammate, the guy he's been working with the entire race, as everybody else is going to fight for the top 5.
And then off the turn number 1, they shift in the 4th gear there. Everyone gets to the gears perfectly clean. The field kind of organizing. The bottom 2 drivers of Blake Neer and Garrett Lowe have pulled away to a decent gap over the Christian Sanderson team to go 3 wide down the back straight for the first time, getting up to speed. Sideways for the Christian Sanderson team wildly there. 3 wide for the lead, 2 rows deep. The number 9 machine of Colton Sable. We haven't seen him all day strong, and he goes to the lead. At the 30 car sideways. We got multiple cars sideways in turn number 3 and 4. Will this bring a yellow? Yes, I believe it will. As we have only 1 car get sideways there. Wow. How was that not a major accident?
that should have been way bigger, but oh my gosh, Colton Salick, what a move. I mean, what a move. The momentum Colton had at a turn 4 to make it 3 wide. Colton Salick just typed in the chat, power move. Whoa. Colton, wow, as we have a replay of the wreck in turns 4 in turn 3 and 4 that brought out the yellow here, but that move by Colton was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we saw here Christian Sanford got clipped on Brian Mercurio's right rear, and that just stacked up the field of everyone kind of behind him, kind of stacking up. Amazing that only the 34 machine of Andrew Pietrnak got sideways, and he didn't even loop it all the way around or anything. His car should be clean and green. He'll need 4 fresh tires probably, but you see right there, that little bit of contact got him out of shape. And we see Cosmic into him in the 84C machine, and Justin Malillo makes some contact with him. The 56 of Connor Babel makes contact with the 34 machine and 30 of Andrew Pietrnak, and he goes sideways. Everybody else makes it through clean and green. Very minimal contact. A very great job of these drivers to get through that wreck. I'd also really like to see the onboard of Colton Salick there as he coming out of turn number 2. That was the move of the race so far. Probably the biggest power move that we've seen in all 4 races so far. He went from about 8th to 1st to enter turn number 3 from the back straightaway.
We had Sean going from 6th to 1st to win his heat. Philip Snipe blocking down the back straightaway to win his. If Colton ends up winning his race, we can look at this run out of turn 2. The C's just opened for him. He had the run, he had the slingshot, the cars on the outside made contact. Blake Neer and Garrett Lowe were like, hey, we're not going to block you. We know you got a huge run, as he threw it into turns 3 and 4. That is the perfect move. You can't ask for anything better as you see the field record in the background.
Yeah, if you're the rest of the field, you're taking notes and you're asking yourself, how did he do that? And how can I do that for myself to rock myself from the transfer spot all the way up to the lead in about 1,000 yards down the back straightaway like that?
You want to talk about a statement? You want to talk about an IGB move, and I've got Ballz move. Colton Salick right there. That was, that is the move of the week so far.
Yeah, at that point, Colton's going to have a 100-pound weight penalty to carry his massive balls on Sunday if he keeps making moves like that, because that was quite the move right there.
Yeah, I'm sure if he flips over, you'll see extra welding right underneath the driver's seat on that 9 car. That was amazing, as we're going to have around 7 laps to decide who transfers in. The temperature is rising. The stakes are rising. These drivers know that it's going to come down to this restart. We might have a green-white checkered, but you can't always rely on that. If you're somebody like Sean Butler in 6th place, you got to make something happen. You got to do like Colton did and gain some positions farther back. Connor Babel in the 56 car that I think is one of the best in the field. He's going to be in 10th place. He's going to have to make positions, and we're going to have 17 cars on the lead lap. McClintock going to get his lap back in the 69 car, so 17 cars fighting for the top 5 to transfer to the main 6th through 16th into the LCQ, and the 17th and 18th going to end their run here. So, a lot of things to look at.
Yeah, scoring is also showing Jonathan Thompson has only 1 lap down right now. If he gets 1 more yellow, he could be back in contention. Wouldn't it be something to see the guy who spent most of the race in 18th, the first guy to spin out tonight, who has been in the back of the pack 2 laps down for most of the events, have a chance to come back and lock himself in the field?
I said earlier, he's going to need a lot of help. It looks like he's going to be getting that help, and you can't ask for anything more. If he's him, he's like, please bring on the carnage. We need wrecks galore. If you're Colton Salick, you're like, no, please, let me just win this heat. Let me get locked in. Every driver is feeling something different. Probably the calmest right now is Colton. If you're Andrew or Zachary Robinson in the back, Steve Bonesteel, you're like, man, I got 6 laps. I got 7 laps to make something happen here.
Time is running out here. They're going to have 7 laps to make moves here, as we see Jeffrey Clinton go and take his lucky dog to get back on the lead lap.
Well, it's all going to come down to 7 laps. We've seen 3 hate races so far. 2 of them have a green-white checkered. 1 finished under green. We'll have to see how this one does. Like I said, we're going to be coming to 7 laps to go. We still got time for a few more wrecks. I know we don't want to see that. I know some of the drivers don't want to see that, but it's something that is always lingering in their minds. It's always a possibility here at Daytona.
Yeah, whatever happens from here on out, it's going to be wild. We've already seen so far that these guys can really handle some wild events. We just saw an amazing piece of driving from all the drivers in this field to avoid that last wreck as they go green flag back on the track. Colton sailing through the gears here. Garrett Lowe gets a marginally better restart. Very, very tight draft as they head off into turn number 1 here and up in the 3rd gear. Garrett and Ryan Carwell have a little bit of better organization as he edges ahead right now as they head into turn number 1. Brian Mercurio has dropped back to 6th place, and well, now he pulls ahead of Sean Butler for 5th. Knocks him into the transfer spot. Justin Miller trying to follow Brian and get ahead of Sean Butler as well.
We've seen 8 lead changes in this race. I'm sure we'll see a lot more as we're going to see 3-wide racing action as Brian makes contact with Blake Neer in the 9 car. Blake Neer, a car who's been dominant. He fought it. He has to get on the brakes. He doesn't want to come in front of the field. That might cost Blake Neer his run as the field is sideways once again in 3 and 4. Cosman on 2 wheels. The 34 car on his side again. Blake Neer, he's trying to get through it. Stay in it, driver. You got it. Blake Neer. Out of pure dumb luck, he got sideways. He got forced to the apron entering that corner. He had to check up. That actually saved him from being involved in that accident.
Yeah, that whole accident looked like it was all an accordion effect there. We see the 56 of Connor Babel in the wall. See Justin Malone on the apron. We just see guys check up behind him and start stacking up there. It doesn't look like, again, we have too much major damage. We'll see a couple of cars get hard into the outside wall, but most drivers kept it clean and green. We'll see Blake Neer get sideways. Justin goes to the outside, and we just see everyone starts checking up as they get in the 3 and 4, and we make contact between the 56 of Justin Malone and the 53 of Connor Babel, and get everyone sideways. I'd love to see that from the onboard of the 9 machine of Blake Neer. I mean, his good sportsmanship almost cost him as he got loose and onto the apron there, and then saw the field crashing in front of him, and it was just amazing that he made it through that. All in the grass, doing off-roading over the jump in the infield. What a wild ride for Blake Neer.
I mean, look, I've been a part of the iRacing service since 2013. I've been a part of Winstell since 2016. I've seen numerous times on numerous occasions somebody gets forced to the yellow or to the apron entering a corner, and they choose to stay in it. They choose to stay in the throttle, make the situation worse. He did the smart move, got on the brakes, and just saved the field. Blake Neer did all he could to not cause a wreck, and that's something you don't always see. I mean, look at this onboard. He got loose. He knows that, hey, I'm not going to make this. I'm going to get on the brakes. I'm going to make sure I don't come up. I mean, look at this car control. And then I'm sure at this point, he's already slowing down. He sees him wrecking, and he's just like, all right, at least I'm going to make it through this. Just going to go through the grass.
Yeah, I mean, he got touched by Brian McCreary there as he checked up for the 9 machine of Colton Salick, and he got so sideways into the corner, and then he sees him wrecking ahead of him, and he's almost got to the 30 car of Christian Sanford there, but managed to bring it into the jump there, through the grass, off-roading there, to give himself another chance to make it through.
I mean, talk about, not only did he have to go through the grass, Blake Neer also went over that hill in turn 4. I mean, that's a hill that, unless you wreck down there, you almost always forget that it even exists. I mean, his talent right there is on par with some of the best drivers we've seen this week, as he's going to start in the 10th position here, as he's going to have a few laps to try and get back into 5th.
And Cruz, unfortunately, looks like we're going to have our first official elimination for this race. Connor Babel, after using his first fast spare in the first wreck with Justin Thompson, has retired his race car. He had too much damage there. He's in the garage, and he is out of this race, and he will not be racing on Sunday.
Unfortunate for Babel, got caught up in an early wreck, had to use his fast repair, and just too much damage on that 56 Pepsi machine. Your first DNF of this heat race. With that said, Jonathan Thompson back on the lead lap. He's in 17th right now. He's going to need some help to get up to the top 5, but at least he has a chance. He went from being 2 laps down, actually 3 laps down at one point. He's back on the lead lap. I know, obviously Connor is disappointed with that yellow, with that caution, but I can't find a driver happier with that than Jonathan.
Yeah, and also it's going to look like guys like Jared Bailey's in the 72. His car has a lot of damage. He's out of fast repairs. I don't think that car is tracking straight right now. 34 machine of Andrew Pietronek has a lot of damage. Christian Sanford in the 30 machine has a lot of damage. These 3 drivers are not going to be in contention for a victory here, but it's going to be important to look at them and see what they have in store for themselves to see who will be the last driver eligible for the last spot in the LCQ.
Right now, that 5th transfer spot is being held by Sean Butler. Probably the fastest car that we saw early in the race outside of Salick and Neer and Lowe. Sean led a good portion of this event. He finds himself on the edge of the transfer. I imagine he's going to fight tooth and nail to keep his position there. And a lot of guys in the back. I mean, you got Steve Bonesteel in a brand new car. You have the 7 car of Andy in a brand new car. You got Blake Neer in the back. I mean, if I'm anybody in the back and I see Blake Neer there, I'm pushing him. I'm following him because he's going to take me to the front.
Also got Cosman. He is taking his first fast appearance. He was up front most of the race. He wasn't really in the top 2 or 3, but 5th and 6th, he was there the entire night. He can be a very aggressive driver. I expect to see him following Blake Neer to the front there. Also, the 101 machine of Scotty Shed. He was leading most of the race with him and Sean and Butler up front, swapping first and second. I look for him to be a factor on this restart as we get dropped through the gears.
All right, well, we're going to come down to 3 to go, so we're technically not in a green-white checkered. We are good on time. Like I said, coming down to 3 to go, so if we have a wreck the next 2 laps, we're going to have a green-white checkered. But Colton Salick, the driver who started 14th, leading the field to the green flag this time by Garrett Lowe on the outside, the driver who started 3rd, first car in the outside lane, and Sean Butler, a huge task ahead of him as Scotty Shed goes to the apron on that restart because Steve Bonesteel maybe missed a shift there, but the inside lane had to check up, and now your top 7 drivers having to fight themselves as Blake Neer gets sideways. But Blake Neer, as I just said, he's going to have a lot of momentum. He was up there earlier. I expect him to put on a great show going through the back straightaway.
Yeah, there's a pretty big checkup there in 1 and 2. Blake Neer was a beneficiary of that. As we see, they're 3 wide. Very scary contact with Sean Butler in the 61 machine there, almost causing another incident down the back straightaway with Ryan Carwell and the 35 machine of Sean and Butler, making it 3 wide. Sean currently holds the transposition with Andrew Tribbiano in 6th, with the number 9 machine of Blake Neer trying his best to take it from him on the outside.
I mean, Blake Neer has a mission as we cross the start-finish line here. We have 2 to go. Blake Neer started 10th on the restart, now up to 6th, looking for 5th. As he has the momentum, he's going to pass Ryan in the 61 car. Blake Neer now carries that transfer spot as Sean Butler gets loose. That might cost him a chance at the top 5 as he's right against the wall, but he doesn't get in it. He's going to have a chance to get back up there as they fly down the back straightaway. Blake Neer nearly kissing the outside wall out of turn 2, and your leaders, Garrett Lowe and Brian in the 40 car, Colton Salick in the 9, are loving this in their mirrors.
Yeah, those top 2, 3 cars are pretty safe right now. They're loving what we're seeing behind them. They're hoping it's going to try to finish this last lap out. Hope they get the white flag here, which they should do. White flag in the air for the final lap here at Daytona for the last heat of the 2021 I've Got Ball Speed Weeks. Right now, Sean and Butler on the outside, looking in from 6th position, looking at that 61 machine of Ryan Carwile. They get side by side for the lead here. This is going to stack up the guys behind him for that transfer spot. Sean and Butler gives them a little bit of bump in the middle of the corner, moves into the racetrack, side by side, the top 6 all side by side with the transition.
Side by side, dead even tie, 3 rows of 2 cars. It's Sean Butler with the momentum. He's making it 3 wide. Blake Neer is going to be on the outside looking out as we have Andy Trippanano in the 7 car trying to make something happen. Your car's 3 wide for the 5th position. Colton Salick on the outside transfer spot. He's not going to have the momentum, and he's going to take it on the inside. But we're going to have another 3 wide dual drag race. 4 wide. They're coming 4 wide across the line. Colton Salick's going to get 4th, and Andy, it looks like he's going to get 5th as Colton Salick flips. We have Garrett Lowe on his roof, but wow, 4 wide coming across the line, coming in the tri-oval 4. Your heat racing action. Garrett Lowe is going to take the win there. Blake Neer in the 2nd. Sean Butler in 3rd. Colton Salick in 4th. And Andy, your final transfer spot, the guy who edged out Brian and Ryan for 5th place.
What a wild finish to that race right there. Unbelievable 4 wide finish to the transition. Those I can't believe it. The 61 machine on the apron. Brian Mercury almost in the outside wall. Blake Neer, or Colton Salick, I should say, sideways across the line, being pushed by Andy Trippiano in the 7 machine to make their way in and lock their way into the 2021 I've Got Ballz 400 there. I want to see if we can try to talk to our race winner here, Mr. Garrett Lowe. Get him down here in a second. Let's see if we can do that.
Oh man, on your screen, you're going to see the battle, the racing action as they flew into turn 3. Hal, yesterday you said, Cruz, what a race. I got to say, Hal, what a race. What a way to end the heat racing action to here. Hal, I'm going to send it back to you. I believe you have our heat race winner. I mean, look at this, 3 wide, 4 wide. Hal, I'm sending it to you.
Garrett. What a race. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
How was that car out there tonight, man? You put on a show. You were kind of in the back for the first about 20 laps. What was the strategy out there?
Yeah, I just didn't have a ton of draft practice other than the 45 minutes I got earlier in the session. But I just kind of wanted to hang back, see what I could do, learn a little bit. And then when I tried to get back to the front, I really couldn't catch up. So had a really good pit stop there, cycled out to the lead, working with Blake, and worked out really well. We were able to keep the lead. I didn't even think about pitting. I just stayed out when the caution happened. And it would just happen to work out that tires mean a good deal, but it's not a make or break.
All right, Garrett, you told us that you learned a lot out there. What can you tell the guys who haven't gotten much practice out there? Is there about 15 guys who are going to be basically racing for the first time out there on Sunday, the lock-in drivers? What can you tell those guys when they take the green flag Sunday afternoon?
I don't know. It's really weird how the car drives. It's almost harder to drive down the straightaway than it is in the corners. You almost have to. It's almost like a boat. I heard someone say, and that's about it. It is a boat down the straightaway, so kind of gotta really plan and plot your moves pretty early.
Well, Garrett Lowe, you were sailing your boat out there to the front of the field. Any major challenges out there? Anybody you want to shout out?
Shout out to Blake Neer. I've been working with him. Got to get in, and we 1-2 in the heat race. That's pretty good.
All right, Garrett, thank you for your time, and can't wait to race with you on Sunday, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Blake Neer and Garrett Lowe, a combo to be reckoned with. I would imagine that they're going to be a tandem that's going to stick together of all 400 miles tomorrow. I mean, how can you ask for a better finish? That's wild. I'm traveling down the grid right now to talk to your third place winner, Sean Butler, in the 35 car. I mean, Sean, you had a dominating race. You had one of the fastest cars. I said earlier, you and Ballz seemed like you guys had the fastest cars, the most car control. Tell me about that wild last restart.
Well, that was something, to be honest. The pit stop when we were under green just kind of got a little botched because I got out way ahead of everybody else, and a couple guys behind me had some penalties, so that kind of set the whole thing up. But on the final restart, I knew where I had to be, of course. For some reason, the car just got really loose going into turn one. I was not expecting it. I had to save it. And that put me behind the 61. And I was like, man, I'm not in a good spot right now. So I knew I had to be really aggressive to get through there. And I kind of had to be a little more aggressive than I wanted to be. But at the end, I'm happy with the third place. And at the end, I just wanted to make it through, and mission accomplished.
Well, I would definitely say you have a great chance of running up in the front tomorrow. You said that you had to be more aggressive than you wanted. What did you think about this setup? What did you think about the temperature on the racetrack? What did you think about this whole week? I mean, I know this isn't typically what you see in hosted sessions or hosted big events throughout the year. Tell me about your experience this week so far.
It's been fun. I mean, I thought the qualifying setup was, of course, a little bit tougher because it's a little more unstable, but it's faster, of course. But the race setup feels fine. I mean, once the tires get some heat in it, you're able to kind of predict where the car is going to be, and you can actually run multiple lines if you do it right. And it's very stable from what I've seen. So I got no issues with the setup. It's really fun, and just we were able to race kind of 3 wide at the end there, as I took a 3 wide going into 3 there in the final lap, and everyone kind of held it together. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun setup to drive, and I'm pumped to go 400 miles with it in the race next week.
Were you aware that the field came 4 wide across the line for the transfer spot? What did you see there?
Yeah, I was in a channel up there with Cosman and Justin Malillo, and they were right behind it, I think, and they're kind of flipping out the whole time. But I was watching the replay, and like, man, that is, if you're running a race where you got a transfer spot, that's how you want the finish to go, 4 wide between 4 really talented guys going for it. But yeah, I'm just glad I didn't have to do that and kind of snuck my way through. But yeah, that was a heck of a finish by those 4 for sure.
Well, congratulations on making 3. You got anybody to thank for helping you through this race, or any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Just everyone that was in the channel with us up there, Landon Huffman, Total Advantage, everyone that's we're at the part of the Road to Pro team, kind of reloading for next year. So shout out to them. And Justin, Cosman, Ryan, RNC for going us through there. Ryan Araki was kind of crew chief and all of us. And of course, you guys, man, for the broadcast, and everyone at Winstel for putting this on. It's a great event every year, and you guys do a great job. You guys definitely know what you're doing with these setups too. And I just want to thank everyone involved, and looking to go get them again next week. And can't wait to watch this back with you guys after the race is over in STN. It's gonna be fun to watch back.
Yeah, an amazing after party to be thrown in TeamSpeak here after STN ends its broadcast. But Sean, thank you for being a part of this race, and best of luck tomorrow.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yep, same to you. Before I bring it back to Brandon Howell, let me go through the drivers who locked themselves in, who were not locked in when the week started. Garrett Lowe, Michael Guest, Blake Neer, Brennan McKissick, Jeremy B. Davis, Andy Tripanano, Brandon Hawk, and Dylan Roberts, Colin Bowden, Colton Salick, Joshua Chin, Malik Ray, Kevin McAdams, Sean M. Butler, Cody Dutton, Cole J. Dutton, Alex Kolonix, your pole sitter for tomorrow. Sean, Kyle Riley, Philip Snipe, and Tristan Hagginson. They'll be joining the locked-in drivers of Christopher Overland, Blake Reynolds, Evan Malason, myself, Femi Ola, Logan Kress, Logan Clampett, Seth DeMerchant, Parker Alexander, Nick Kesser, Nicholas Doucette, Andrew Ferreneras, Graham Bullen actually did not register, Christian Budd, Ryan Doucette, Brandon Howe, who's up here in the booth with me, Tyler Head, and Brennan McGee, your event host, and the guy who will be starting second. Howe, I mean, this was an amazing 2 days, amazing racing across all heats. What do you have to say, driver?
This was really a kind of a test bed for me. I mean, we put this up together in the course of about a month and a half. And, we put in, probably a solid 40 hours with testing. But at the same time, these are the first 4 events where we really had it on track in race conditions. And what we saw out there tonight and last night was just incredible. I had my notepad out, my engineer's pad out, trying to see if there's anything that needed to change, anything that worried me. But so far, from what I've seen, this has been excellent. We have hit it right on the money, and this is going to be an amazing 400 miles tomorrow night at 7:30.
I don't think I've ever seen anticipation this high for a Brennan McGee event, much less the I've Got Ballz 400, a race that we decided, hey, it's always been 250 miles, 100 laps. At the end of last year, we were like, hey, this is more of a sprint. We want this to be more of an endurance race, or at least give people more of a chance to race, work their way through the field. So we extended it by 60 laps. And I mean, this is the strongest field, the most challenging setup, but we're going to put on one heck of a show tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it tomorrow. It's going to be 43 cars fighting for 400 miles at 200 plus miles an hour the entire time in a hot, slick track. I can't wait to see it cruise.
So if you want to see how this week's event end, tune in here. STN tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, will be the last chance qualifier, a 40-car field fighting for the top 5 positions to lock their way into the race. That race is only going to be 25 laps, so you're going to have to get into it. You're going to have to be aggressive. And then at 7:25 p.m. Eastern time, the 9th running of the I've Got Ballz 400. Yet again, a $1,000 purse, 160 laps. Absolutely free. There is no entry fee. Top 20 drivers walking away with money. I'm actually going to walk through the purse with you because some people haven't seen it. Some people don't know. First is $250. Second, $125. Third, $100. Fourth, $65. Fifth, $60. Sixth place is going to walk away with $50. Seventh, $45. Eighth, $40. Ninth place, $35. 10th place, $30. 11th through 15th going to walk away with $25. 16th through 17th, 15, and then your last paid positions, 18th, 19th, and 20th, walking away with $10. I can't think of a better race to join, be a part of. I mean, all you got to do, finish top 20, and you're walking away with money.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, pretty much if you made the race, you've got a good chance of walking away with some solid cash in your pocket. $10 buys you a track. $15, buys you a car. If you finish in the top 10, that's a solid, payday. You don't really see that in free events, free to enter events. So this is going to be one of the biggest events that iRacing sees this year.
I mean, this has a better payout than some of the paid events across the iRacing service. Up in the booth with us, we have Brennan McGee, this event's organizer. I mean, I'm speechless by the racing action I've seen the past 2 nights. What do you have to say, McGee?
We certainly had a few really good heat races there, especially the heats 2 and I think 4 are probably the most notable of them all. But honestly, each of them had their own slew of action. We saw in the last heat there, well, before this one, which would have been heat number 3. That one was their nasty heat, I think, as far as the accidents and stuff go. But honestly, overall, very fun couple of days here. Thank you guys for commentating, and we get to hear your commentary one more time tomorrow during the last chance qualifier, which has 37 cars slated for the grid for a 25 lap shootout. So that's going to be a little intense to watch. And then thank you to Zach Johnson for putting all the production together and all that for STN Racing. And then tomorrow night is the big night. We have the ICA Ballz 400 as 43 as some of the best super speedway racers on iRacing will take the green flag. We have a star-studded field as far as that goes. There's tons of talent to be had. There's still tons of talent that hasn't made the race yet because they weren't able to make it through the heat. So you have guys like Brian Mercurio that finished 6th tonight, then he is a very good driver, just wasn't able to get it done. And like I said, there's definitely a few others sitting out there, and hopefully they can make it to the last chance qualifier tomorrow night.
I mean, hats off to you and everybody a part of the Winstell crew who has helped make this happen. I mean, this is an event that we planned pretty much for half the year leading up to it. I mean, hats off to you. It's been tremendous so far. The racing action, the competition, the sportsmanship. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before.
No, honestly, everyone's sportsmanship this year has been very good, and to be honest, that can be hard to find sometimes in this iRacing community, but we've been very lucky this year. We've had a very good group of drivers. Everybody's out here doing what they got to do, racing as hard as they can race to try and get themselves what was into that top 5, and tomorrow night during the LCQ with a 30-some car field to get themselves inside the top 6. Just everybody's been very good about it. The racing's been incredible. Like, we're seeing stuff that looks like it's fun from like the late 80s or even late 90s and somewhat the early 2000s style racing this week. We've seen a lot of action, and we have a lot of action to go tomorrow. We've done 400 miles over the course of the last 2 nights. Now tomorrow we do over 400 miles in one race, or we do 400 miles in one race, plus you have the LCQ right before that. So some people to get into this event will have already raced over 100 miles, then they got to come in and do the actual event tomorrow night. So they're going to have a bit of a doubleheader tomorrow.
Brendan, I'm going to take the promoter hat off you here and put the driver hat back on you. You and me pretty much spent the past month and a half trying to put this setup together and get this racing action in check. We haven't gotten to go out there and do a green flag run yet as far as race conditions go. How excited or nervous are you to get out there on track tomorrow and finally get your feet wet in this amazing setup that we have to put on for a show tomorrow?
Well, we'll see what happens. I get to start a second spot due to my fast qualifying time there last Sunday, so I'm very excited, but I'm not going to lie, I'm definitely a little nervous to be leading that field down on a green track, which none of us have yet to experience. If anything, I'm going to say these guys that have advanced from these heat races have a better shot early on in the first 20 to 30 laps tomorrow than, say, the 3 of us sitting here do, because they've had that 40 laps of on-track race experience. They know what it's going to do on a clean track. We don't have that experience yet. We could do all the testing in the world, but having a 5-car pack versus a 43-car pack is much different to be in. So definitely a little nervous to be leading the field down to that front row tomorrow night, but I'm definitely going to do the best that I can do to stay up there. Then I'll decide what I'm going to do if I get shuffled back a little bit. The other thing is tomorrow night we only have a 25 to 27 lap fuel tank, so I'm going to want to get out there early and practice tomorrow right after the last chance qualifier is over and practice a few green flag stops, because we saw a lot of people going below that yellow cone over the last couple nights, getting themselves a black flag and pretty much shooting themselves in the foot for making it into the race. So I want to get out there, want to make sure I can get my green flag stops in. Hopefully it's a clean race tomorrow, but you just never know what to expect. I think those first 40 laps tomorrow night could be a little dicey as everybody gets used to running around each other in 140-degree track temp.
All right, Brendan, as always, thank you for your time. I'm going to throw it back to Cruz here and send it on out.
Well, I just want to say thank you for everybody tuning in. Clapping of the hands for all the competitors who have showed up this weekend to help put on this tremendous racing action. Remember, our coverage of the LCQ begins tomorrow at 4 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with the main event at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time. I think I speak for Hal and Zach and everybody a part of this. Thank you once again for tuning in. You guys are helping making this event really, really big and really, really special. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for spending your Saturday night with us, and we can't wait to join you again tomorrow.